"Your Majesty, this nation is aging and ailing, about to take a one-way trip across the Yellow Springs." He summoned Zhang Gang, the most powerful sorcerer of the time, wanting him to use the soul return technique to rejuvenate him, transferring his soul into the body of a strapping young man in his 20s. However, it was a forbidden dark art. If the body and soul clashed during the ritual, it could very well result in him turning into a demon. Even for a sorcerer as powerful as himself, he couldn't guarantee safety. But the Emperor insisted on swapping bodies temporarily to be switched back after 7 days. Hearing this, Zhang Gang was completely shocked. He'd only ever used the soul return technique to put living souls into dead bodies, inhabiting corpses. He never expected the Emperor's intention was to swap with him. While he had some reservations, after all, the other party was the Emperor, high and mighty. After some hesitation, Zhang Gang finally agreed to his request. In the Grand Hall, he performed the soul return spell, the kind only those who went VIP and grinded day and night to top the server could cast. The soul transfer went smoothly, with the Emperor's soul entering Zhang Gang's body as desired. And as for the sorcerer Zhang Gang, he had become the Emperor. He pulled up his robes, noticing the blue mark on his body. This was the sign of a soul return, appearing on both the caster and the recipient. However, when he saw the letter the Emperor had left, he was stunned. The Emperor's true goal was to chase skirts and butterflies, to find himself a bloodline successor, specifically Zhang Gang's beautiful and captivating wife. Soon after, Zhang Gang's wife became pregnant, and 7 days later, he mysteriously disappeared. The child grew up, eventually named Zhang Yuk. Despite being a member of the family, his father had sealed his Kai gate from a young age, preventing him from drawing the magical sword. As a result, he was constantly ridiculed. He begged the family to unseal his Kai gate, but no one would agree, because in the vast land of Do, no one dared to defy Zhang Gang's orders. This was the fate his father had decided for him for his entire life, and now Zhang Yuk couldn't use any magic. The boy, with tears streaming down his face, said, "Why should my fate be decided by him? I'll find a master who can open my Kai gate and teach me magic, then I'll break that sword in two." In the blink of an eye, 10 years passed. During this time, the entire capital was thrown into chaos by a female assassin. She specialized in killing sorcerers, a shadow assassin second only to Zhang Gang in power. That day, she was hunted by the combined forces of the 4 great families on a frozen lake. Facing hundreds of experts was a bit dangerous, though. Being someone who could eat 2 or 3 bowls of rice on her own, she even used the water Kai technique, which was notoriously hard to master. Still, one person managed to hold his own against her, Park Jin, the leader of the 4 great families. Just by showing his face, Naxu was defeated. They all ganged up and heavily wounded her. Naxu was still soloing 3 to 4 dozen guys at the same time. Then she broke the ice to escape, leaving everyone in stunned disbelief. Naxu, at this moment, unexpectedly inhabited the body of a blind woman. Although she had regained her sight after the soul shift, she had lost all of her former magical power. From the blind woman's memories, she learned that her name was Mu Diak, a woman from Sari village who was sold to the capital city, her destination being a tavern. Prior to this, Naxu had been hunted down by the combined forces of the 4 great families, leaving her with no choice but to break through the ice and escape. If she couldn't find a suitable body for a soul shift, the only thing awaiting her was a path to the Western Paradise. On the run, she began searching for a suitable host. Her ultimate target was a young, beautiful, and seemingly healthy girl. Naxu took out the jade, causing a commotion that shook the heavens, and instantly, a dense fog obscured the sky. The opportunity had arrived. She quickly cast the fog spell, and the soul shift to possess the body officially began. A moment later, Park Jin pursued the disturbance and arrived at the location. To his surprise, he found Naxu's original body. He pulled open her shirt and saw the blue mark, symbolizing the soul shift technique. His eyes darted forward, assuming that the person in front of him was the one who had been possessed. However, strangely, no symbol appeared on her body. This left them puzzled, wondering if the soul shift had failed. But unbeknownst to them, Naxu had not failed. It's just that, for some reason, the target of the soul shift had become the blind girl. Even more strangely, there was no blue mark on her either. it was a complete mess. Regardless, it was best to leave this place for now. She leaped up, preparing to climb the bridge, but she stopped mid-air. "Help me! Save me! Help me! Good Lord, this weak body couldn't even climb a bridge." Finally, she fell into the water with a splash. Because she couldn't hold on any longer, she had transformed into this form, and her original strength had vanished. Even riding a boat made her nauseous. As for running away, she'd have to postpone that until her friend invited her for morning coffee and actually managed to wake up. So, after devouring 2 chickens, Mudiak was still sold to the tavern by the man. The assassin who was once the strongest was now a thing of the past. Karma's a bitch. She immediately grabbed the woman's arm, intending to teach her a lesson. But unexpectedly, it turned out she knew how to dance, or at least it looked like dancing. Then, the woman pinched Mudiak's face and began to scold her. "Here, you must follow the rules, and you can't just act out. Also, remember this. This is a place where people from all over come." The young lady of the Jin family, her aura like spring, Jin chose Xian, the heir of the Park family, overflowing with the vitality of summer. Park Dang-gu, the genius of the Seo family, as elegant as the autumn sunset, Seo Yol, and the one whose energy gate had been sealed since childhood, sparkling like white snow, shining in the cold winter, Jang Uk, from the Jang family. They were descendants of the 4 greatest mage families in D. Among them, Park Jin of the Park family had killed her family, along with the Jane, Jang, and Seo families. They were all there. She was once the strongest female assassin in D, but due to a mistake in performing the soul shift technique, her soul entered the body of the girl Mudiak. Not only had she lost all of her magical power, but she was also sold to a tavern. What made her even more miserable and heartbroken was that the martial arts she had always been proud of had become nothing more than a fan dance in the eyes of others. Was she some TikTok idol? Perhaps the only good thing after the soul shift was that this body had regained its sight. In every misfortune, there is some luck. Looking at the jewelry all over the table, for a penniless person like her, it was probably like seeing a ray of hope in a dark basement. However, before she could rejoice about her eyes recovering, she was discovered. She could see? How foolish. Why was she pretending to be blind? Mudiak quickly reached out and smeared powder on the woman's face, then hastily ran outside. And just like that, she mistakenly barged into the room of Jang Uk from the Jang family. The two locked eyes. He seemed to recognize something, but because his energy gate had been blocked since childhood, he was quickly controlled by Mudiak. "I think I've heard your name before, Mudiak, right?" Seeing that the man wasn't much of a threat, she reached for the money pouch on the table, intending to leave. At that moment, Jang Uk, feeling sorry for her pitiful state, impulsively offered her his jade pendant. This was worth much more than the money pouch. However, a second later, Mudiak face planted, scrambled to her feet, and hastily scurried away in embarrassment. Little did she know, it was all a script Jang Uk had already written. Turns out, when he made his move earlier, he'd noticed something unusual. Though his energy channels had been blocked since childhood, he diligently browsed TikTok day and night, and remembered the martial arts moves clearly. Just then, Mudiak had displayed the water bullet technique right in front of him, a swordsmanship only the most advanced mages could master. Meanwhile, Mudiak arrived at the pawn shop she was at. She was preparing to pawn the jade pendant. But before she could get emotional, a group of people burst in and knocked her unconscious. When she awoke, she was dressed in designer clothes and inside Jang Uk's house. Looking at Mudiak, what Jang Uk couldn't understand was why she was so easily knocked out. Wasn't she supposed to be strong? To test her, he asked her to bring him water. A moment later, Mudiak brought tea, but he said he didn't want tea, he wanted foot washing water. Once the foot washing water arrived, he changed his mind again and asked for bath water, then complained it was too weak and told her to scrub it. He kept making unreasonable demands, wanting to see what Mudiak would ultimately do. But unexpectedly, after a long day, he couldn't see a hint of deceit in the new servant girl's behavior. However, deep down, Mudiak already had a plan. While Jang Uk slept, she took the spirit tablet with a special barrier, belonging to the 4 great families, intending to go to a place called Songram. Because she had been hunted down there, Her body and sword were still at the old place, and the people of the four great families would certainly have taken both her body and weapon back to Songrim for safekeeping. Now, she had to get it back. Only when she held her sword could she restore her magic. However, what she didn't expect was that when she entered Songrim, a group of assassins were already lying in ambush before she arrived and stole both her body and her sword. Mudiak, however, was very familiar with these assassins. Their leader was the chief, who had taught her magic as a child. As Mudiak prepared to leave, she inadvertently made a noise and was discovered. Just as she was about to be captured, a hand pulled her away. It was Jang Yuke. Turns out he'd sensed something was off about her and secretly followed along. Under the light of the 10 Directions Buddhas, Jang Yuke looked into Mudiak's eyes and said, "I recognized my master in your eyes at first glance." Jang Yuke recognized her extraordinary nature. She was the one who could open his energy channels. He wanted to take her as his master. He was originally the strongest mage in the capital, but he was deceived by the king he respected. The two underwent soul shifting. The soul of the mage Jang Gang entered the king's body, and the king's soul naturally entered his. But what Jang Gang didn't expect was that his purpose in soul shifting with him was to go pick flowers and steal a wife before dying, to preserve the bloodline. Sure enough, the king achieved his goal. After Lady Du Hoa gave birth to a baby boy for Jang Gang, she unfortunately died on the spot. Jang Gang returned to his body and took the baby to the Jang family courtyard. Even though it could have been his child, during the 7 days of soul shifting, the one who was with Du Hoa wasn't him. In front of everyone, he cast the Heaven's Evil Seal formation, blocking the baby boy's energy channels. Although the baby still lived, he couldn't use magic. At the same time, Jang Gang coldly stated, "From now on, no one is allowed to open his energy gate. Anyone who dares to break the seal is going against me." And the little boy from that time grew up to be Jang Yuke. Now, for the past 20 years, he had sought out 12 masters, but was expelled from each school 12 times. He was always desperately searching for someone who could open his energy gate, but no one agreed to help because Jang Gang's power was too great. They couldn't afford to offend him. Until today, Jang Yuke finally found a master who could change his fate, and that was Mudiak. Because her eyes told him that the person in front of him was a soul shifter. A blue mark appeared in those eyes, but Jang Yuke didn't seem to know that this girl was the most formidable assassin of the era, whom even the 4 great families were joining forces to hunt down. At that moment, Naksu, along with Seo Yul, the genius of the Seo family, followed the trail and arrived here. In a moment of crisis, Jang Yuke pulled Mudiak into his arms, shielding her. "You scared my Mudiak. Can you put your sword down?" Just then, another person arrived, Park Jin-gu from the Park family. He immediately noticed the knife in Mudiak's hand. Thinking she would be exposed, Jin-gu surprisingly seemed a bit playful. "Is that enough for you to protect the young master? Impressive." On the other side, Park Jin was chasing the assassins, leading a group of people towards the barrier, but to his surprise, the assassins were able to break through Songrim's barrier. There was only one possibility: there was an inside traitor within Songrim. Meanwhile, Jang Yuke took Mudiak to the place where Naksu's body had been placed. The body was preserved in an ice jade, with no signs of decay. She seemed to be at peace. Naksu/Mudiak, after hearing this, no longer concealed her identity. She didn't understand why Jang Yuke had saved her, thinking that he was captivated by her year-round blooming beauty. He laughed when he heard that. "Beauty fades with time. Only knowledge is eternal. My request is simple. I want Naksu to become my master and help me open my energy gate. If you refuse, you won't be able to leave here safely." Considering the current situation, and because she had no weapon, but her body had no magical power, she could only temporarily agree. However, to hide that fact, she had to lie. "I need a sword. Because of the soul shift, my essence has been severely damaged. I must have my sword to help you open your energy gate." This is the Jang family, one of the 4 great families. Because Songrim's barrier was broken, a group of assassins in black stormed in to steal Naksu's body, as well as her sword. However, the clan leader, Park Jin, felt that this was not a simple matter, because he, as the keeper of the barrier, knew that a certain skill was required to break out of here, and that skill was only known to people within the family. At the same time, he discovered a shocking secret. A soul shifter had appeared in Songram. To find the soul shifter hiding in the shadows, they had to borrow the Jin family's treasure, the Bloodhound. So he specially invited Miss Jin Cho-yeon, to come and refresh things in Songram. Bringing the Bloodhound into the Grand Hall, its purpose was to detect evil magic. Then the clan leader ordered all subordinates to lock the doors. Anyone who tried to escape would be treated as an inside traitor. Jin Cho-yeon began casting a spell, and the Bloodhound's eyes almost lit up. A plume of black smoke rose into the sky, and the black smoke formed a black dog. It kept searching for the soul shifter, and soon the black dog locked onto one location, Mu-deok's position. At that moment, everyone in the main hall panicked. Mu-deok didn't want to die, and Jang Yuke chose to face the danger head-on himself. But after hearing her fears, he didn't abandon her. Instead, he shielded her, gripping her hand tightly and saying, "Just stay behind me. It's safest there." "Father, no one in Songram would dare let that thing attack me," Mu-deok thought. Just then, she noticed Jang Nuk's eyes seemed to change. Before either of them could react, the hellhound lunged forward, but unexpectedly, it targeted the person behind them. The black smoke dissipated, and the soul shifter, now exposed, revealed their true face in the main hall. Everyone gave chase, leaving the two of them standing there dumbfounded. How precious, standing perfectly still. The only fate for soul shifters is death. After a few basic strikes, Seo Yul, the prodigy of the Seo family, sent him back to the afterlife the hard way. With that matter settled, even Cho-yeon showed concern for Jang Yuke before she left. However, he was indifferent and aloof, making it clear that something had happened between them. But he didn't want to dwell on it at that moment. He was only worried about finding Mu-deok. Finally, they met in front of the door, but before they could speak, Jang Yuke suddenly noticed something wrong. That damned hellhound. He immediately told her to run, and that he'd take care of it. If that thing attacked, she would end up like the person earlier, slowly turning to stone. After Mu-deok left, Jang Yuke sped off to another location. At this moment, she was facing an even greater danger. The instant the hellhound pounced, Jang Yuke shattered the Jin family's treasured artifact from within. That hellhound was the treasured artifact of the Jin family, one of the 4 great clans. It was used to manifest as black smoke and seek out hidden soul shifters. Unexpectedly, it had now been destroyed by the man before them, Jang Yuke. He did it to save Mu-deok, who was about to be devoured by the hellhound. He rescued her successfully, saving her life, but also ensuring that his actions would be discovered by the entire family, including Jin Cho-yeon. Because what he destroyed was the Jin family's treasure, the clan leader was shocked and called out to Jang Yuke, but all they could do was sentence him to kneel outside the main hall as punishment, since he was the son of Jang. Meanwhile, Mu-deok overheard Dang-gu saying that Jang Yuke and Jin Cho-yeon had once been engaged. However, for some reason, the engagement was broken off. Seeing Jang Yuke punished because of her, she felt deeply uneasy. After she was given permission, Mu-deok brought him a tray of tea. Although grateful, she had to leave now, to find her sword as soon as possible. Before leaving, Mu-deok said to Jang Yuke, "I've only ever met people who wanted to kill me. You're the first person to try so hard to save my life." It's okay, she's returned long ago. The first place she went was to give the token to Ruai, and told her to make sure someone would pay a high price for it. Unexpectedly, this scene was discovered by a courtesan outside. A few days later, Mu-deok returned to the place she used to live. However, all traces of her being there had been erased. It seemed the head had thought she'd failed her soul shifting and was no longer alive. However, Nas has never seen his real face since he was little, so it's not easy to contact him again. So she had to draw a picture of the token on paper, and then shoot fireworks into the sky to send a signal. As long as she goes to the bar to find the person who owns the token, she will find her. However, what Mu-deok didn't expect was that the chief she always mentioned wanted her dead. Those who fail in their missions only face one outcome. Now, he thought of a better way to force Naksu to reveal herself. The man named Jin Mu, who was also the vice chief of Chunbugwan Heavenly Treasure Hall, a cruel man who lived comfortably. No sooner had he finished speaking to his subordinate than he ordered another group to eliminate them. He planned to take credit with the king. Now that I've led the family to find Naksu's body, I can quickly become the chief. After all, Chief Jang Gang hasn't appeared in a long time. I can also spread the news that Naksu's body is at Chinbugwen, forcing her to reveal herself, killing two birds with one stone. Soon after, the news reached Jang Uk's ears. He remembered Mudiok saying that her powers would only return if she found her sword. So he went to see Jinmu, wanting to retrieve the sword. However, Jinmu, upon hearing this, happily handed the sword to him, seemingly eager to see Jang Yuke draw it, as only Naksu could wield it. But he seemed to forget that Jang Yuke had no magical powers. After obtaining the sword, he left. At this moment, a subordinate hiding in the shadows suddenly appeared and told Jinmu some information about Naksu. Her name is Mudiok. Though she is a weak girl with no magical powers, the soul inside her body is not her own, but that of Naksu, the most powerful shadow assassin from the capital. Now, she has lost all her magical powers and can only restore them if she finds her chief. However, she doesn't know that the chief she has been desperately searching for wants to kill her. After hearing this bit of news about Naksu from his subordinate, Jinmu suddenly smirked, a foolish smile. Then he ordered his subordinate to lead people from the brothel to find the person who possessed the token. At the same time, Mudiok also heard that the token had been stolen, and that the thief was a courtesan. She had secretly seen them the day before, overheard someone offering a high price for the token, and was overjoyed, holding it out in front of the man. She thought he would give her gold and silver, but instead, the cold-hearted man gave her a quick and brutal end with his sword. As a great man once said, if you do nothing but eat, you might as well go back to Vietnam and sell bone and joint pain medication. Then, a terrible scream echoed through the brothel. Mudiok watched the scene unfold. The woman holding the token had been killed. They thought she was Naksu. In that moment, Mudiok finally understood that the chief she had always trusted had abandoned her. At that moment, in Jin's plaza, Jinmu was cremating Naksu's body. Seeing the charred corpse before her, Naksu truly had an indescribable feeling. However, when she saw the man standing next to Jinmu, she finally learned the true face of her chief. Through this incident, Songram's power had clearly diminished significantly. In its place, Anbu Wan left a strong impression in the minds of all the people. At that moment, Jang Yuke arrived as Mudiok was feeling like there was nothing left for her in life. He took out her sword, and they went to a pavilion. She was eager to try and hold the sword. Only when she could draw the energy from it would her powers return. Unexpectedly, the moment she touched the sword, she was thrown back. Mudiok couldn't believe what had just happened, and she picked up the sword again. Now, she couldn't draw the sword at all. At this moment, Jang Yuke understood that her magic power had long since disappeared. Now, she simply couldn't break the seal on herself. He angrily berated Mudiok, telling her to leave this place, saying it was better to die than to live in this body. Then go die. At this moment, Mudiok was utterly despondent. She dejectedly wandered off to the place where Master Park Jin had once taken her to calm down, and then jumped into the water, preparing to drown herself and return to the vast and boundless ocean. However, right at that moment, a miracle occurred. The protagonist's aura, Mudiok, sank beneath the waves, seemingly regaining her strength, and even easily drew her sword. The return of the Sword Saint. A powerful surge of energy immediately shook the heavens and the earth. Meanwhile, Jang Yuke, thinking that his words might have been too harsh, anxiously went to the shore to look for Mudiok. As the sun set on the promontory, he discovered her unsheathed sword lying on the ground. However, a second later, she fainted right there. When she woke up, she was in the best medical clinic in Songram. While she was unconscious, Jang Yuke had applied medicine to her eyes. The effect of the medicine would prevent the mark of the soul shifter from being too visible. Upon waking, Mudiok didn't care about that, but immediately got up and grabbed her sword. This time she still couldn't draw it. Could it be that she could only regain her strength in the lake? But she couldn't stay underwater all day. Suddenly, she thought of a good idea, which was to put poison in tea and have the unsuspecting Jang Yuke drink it. She wanted to take a gamble, to bet that a master practitioner in Songram would definitely come to save him. And the only way to save him was to open his energy gates. Only when his energy gates were opened could she teach him. Later, she would rely on him to help her regain her own strength. She poured everything she had into that cup of tea. The poison would take effect in just 3 hours, not nearly enough time to concoct an antidote. No matter how brutally the two men beat Mu Diak, she didn't say a word. Meanwhile, Jang Yuke was running out of time. Just when things were critical, royal physician Go, with no other choice, reluctantly used his powers to open Jang Uk's energy gates. After hearing the conversation between the two, Mu Diak laughed and fainted. At the same time, Jang Yuke woke up, discovering that his energy gates had been opened. Immediately remembering what she had said to him, he rushed to the torture chamber to save Mu Diak from being beaten and abused. Thanks to her, I came back from the brink of death. You crazy master! The boy whose energy gates were sealed by his stepfather had them opened after 20 years. Because the process was extremely dangerous, Jang Yuke could now cultivate magic. But he wouldn't realize that 20 years ago, his father had told members of his clan that if his energy gates were ever opened, he would face death. The father of this child it's the deceased king. Is he the king's son? Could he be the king's son? On the day the child was born, he was destined to be the rightful heir to the throne. But the late king's younger brother had inherited the throne and also had a crown prince to succeed him. The appearance of this child destined to be king was treasonous to the current royal family. Jang Uk's existence would certainly be a variable in the future of the royal family. Meanwhile, Mu Diak was seriously injured and was still in a coma. Jang Yuke helped her in front of Elder Park. Only by taking her away from this place can she be safe. Why are you taking that girl with you? Wasn't it Mu Diak's doing that you poisoned yourself? Hearing this, Elder Park's expression changed. But if he continued to punish him, he would only lose his life. With no other choice, he told the others to take Jang Yuke to a place to treat his wounds, and they would talk about the other matters later. Unexpectedly, Jang Yuke said, "Please save her, please save her." Elder Park sighed and turned away. At this moment, Mu Diak also gradually opened her eyes, but in her eyes appeared the mark of the soul shifter. Jang Yuke saw it and quickly covered them with his hand. Seo Yul wanted to help, but he refused because their power was far greater than his. If he handed her over to them, she would likely be exposed. He had no choice but to have Chief Kim, whom he trusted, carry Mu Diak to Sukun, while he asked Seo Yul to carry her. At this moment, Park Jin went to see the royal physician to discuss matters concerning Jang Yuke. He learned from the royal physician that, during the opening of his energy gates, he had transferred his own power to Jang Yuke, as Jang Uk's body still contained toxins. To help him recover quickly, the royal physician also infused some of his vital energy. After all, Jang Uk's start was 20 years later than everyone else. Even if he started cultivating now, it might take hundreds of years to see any effect. Once the boy recovers, you must reclaim your energy, Park Jin said. Meanwhile, Mu Diak was gradually waking up after receiving treatment. Because she was seriously injured, and the physicians here were all sorcerers, it would be very dangerous if they discovered she was a soul shifter. So Jang Yuke personally helped her change clothes. This is a drama, of course. After all, he was the only one who could get close to her like this. All my life, I've been surrounded by people who don't care about my feelings, he thought. She's the only one who has ever risked her life for me. Through this incident, Jang Yuke finally found a master who was right for him. However, before accepting him as a disciple, Mu Diak set a condition. If her strength fully recovered and she returned to her identity as Nasu, they would no longer be master and student. He didn't quite understand. In her heart, she always remembered how the 4 great families had killed her family. On the other hand, in a nearby secret chamber, Vice Master Jin Mu seemed to be hatching a terrifying plan. He wanted to exploit out-of-control soul shifters. He planned to have people brought to them every day and force them to work for him. His claws were already reaching into the royal palace. At this moment, Jin Mu asked his subordinate about Naksu. The man remembered the girl who had shifted her soul so flawlessly. However, pressured by Jin Mu, he lied and said that he had taken care of Naksu. Jin Mu was the most powerful disciple of sorcerer Jang Gang, who was also the master of the Shadow Assassin. 20 years ago, sorcerer Jang Gang had swapped souls with the king in his weak and sickly body. If he didn't find a way to return to his own body, he would surely die. Forced to take on the king's identity, he called his disciple Jin Mu to the Grand Hall. After Jin Mu saw the traces of soul shifting on the king, he realized that the person in front of him was his master. However, to save him, he would have to perform the soul shifting technique again. Go and get the soul retrieval incense. In the secret chamber, give me the overlord order, and I will teach you the soul shifting technique. In this way, Jin Mu learned the dark magic he desired. Jiang Gang also returned to his original body. Eventually, the king's illness spread, and he died in the Grand Hall. For the past 20 years, since Jiang Gang's mysterious disappearance, a vice master like him had been using the soul-shifting technique for evil purposes. Now, upon hearing the news that his only disciple who could threaten him, Naxu, had died, he was even more delighted. He had no idea that his subordinate had lied and that the real Naxu had not been found. He had been having her followed for a long time, and now a courtesan was carrying an insignia, and he was secretly investigating who possessed it. Who could it be? Meanwhile, Mu Diak led Zhang Yuke as he began his first day of training. First was gathering water, channeling the essence of water into the body, followed by flowing water, generating power from the current of water. Then, controlling the water energy in the air, controlling water. Mu Diak was a sorceress who had reached the controlling water stage. Recalling those years, her body had been in perfect harmony with her profound skills. She truly had been unmatched and utterly dominant. Wherever she went, her enemies' heads fell like blossoms, earning her the nickname Shadow Assassin. The next move, Mu Diak wanted Zhang Yuke to understand that she had once been a sorceress who could summon rain and wind at will. However, a second later, she unexpectedly found herself out of breath after just a little activity. She tried to stand, but her leg went numb. This body, for her, was indeed youthful, but the spine wasn't as robust as today's youth often take for granted. Right now, the only one who could help her was Zhang Yuke. After simple training, Mu Diak inadvertently discovered a shocking secret. Hidden within his body was a powerful source of true energy. The true energy of the royal physician. That true energy had helped him pass the gathering water stage, meaning he had naturally obtained the true energy that would normally take 10 years to accumulate from another person, and it was even the true energy of a master. However, a crucial problem remained. If Zhang Yuke couldn't control that flow of energy, it would inevitably be taken back at any moment. If he didn't want to have it stolen, he had to learn how to circulate the energy. However, for now, the royal physician definitely wouldn't teach him how to breathe properly. But he was a CEO, and the CEOs surely all used the same breathing technique. The two suddenly thought of a name, CEO Yul. Just as they were about to act, Zhang Yuke was summoned by the royal physician. It seemed he wanted to reclaim the true energy in his stomach. Knowing the royal physician liked alcohol, Zhang Yuke specially asked Chief Priest Kim to present fine wine as a treat. On the other hand, Mu Diak had also started her plan. He was a genius not belonging to the four great families, and also the crown prince. Facing masters who had reached the flowing water realm, he remained unfazed. Drawing his sword, using powerful sword energy and supreme skill, he quickly handled 30 or 40 men with ease. However, there was another master among them. After a few moves, the crown prince used his sword to create force, unleashing sword energy. The man was directly thrown back several meters. Beyond his identity as the crown prince, he had another identity, a disciple of Jin Mu. However, he seemed unaware that his master was secretly harboring a terrifying plan. He introduced the 4 treasures of the capital to the crown prince, but he showed no interest. The only person worth paying attention to was Zhang Yuke. As far as he knew, Zhang Yuke had his energy channels blocked, so he couldn't use energy. Why was he also included in the 4 treasures of the capital? After hearing Jin Mu say his energy channels had been opened, he became even more curious. He added fuel to the fire, saying, "Last time, Zhang Yuke couldn't assist with the sword, but this potential threat must be eliminated." He then used the excuse of Zhang Yuke stealing Naz's sword to incite the crown prince to take the opportunity to deal with him. "There will come a day when I defeat Zhang Yuke." There, Jin Mu smirked in a meaningful way. Meanwhile, Mu Diak separated from Zhang Yuke and began her plan to approach Seo Yul. She wanted to learn his breathing technique. She could only vaguely understand it by touching the insignia on his clothing. Unexpectedly, Mu Diak accidentally wandered into the bathhouse. Luckily, Seo Yol managed to pull her in just in time, seeing the insignia right in front of him. By simply feeling the 6 breaths with her hand, she would be able to understand the way to channel Kai. This unexpected event startled Seo Yol. This female troll is too aggressive. After the others left, he quickly pushed her away and dragged her outside. Now, all you need is one more touch to understand it, so Mu Diak immediately blurted out, "I admire you." With no other option, Mu Diak had to use this excuse. Just as she was about to touch him, Seo Yol flung her away, causing her to fall hard to the ground. He rushed over, and she immediately seized the opportunity to jump into his arms, then secretly took the insignia from him. Although Seo Yol didn't realize it had fallen, he wasn't foolish and guessed that she wanted to learn his breathing technique. The purpose was very clear, to teach Jang Yuke how to circulate his Kai. After telling Mu Diak not to waste her effort, Seo Yol turned and left. Looking at the insignia on the ground, Mu Diak said to herself, "So you still remember me, Seo Yol?" On the other hand, Seo Yol hadn't walked far when he realized his flute was missing, and quickly turned back to find it. He coincidentally saw Mu Diak playing the flute, and a memory gradually surfaced in his mind. "That's not easy to play, but you play it really well. I actually have many hidden talents. Give it back to me." Mu Diak thought for a moment and finally returned the flute to Seo Yol. But the condition was to exchange it for his breathing technique, just 3 breaths worth. Looking at Seo Yol in front of her, Mu Diak didn't know what to do. It seemed like her heart really wanted to say something, but she didn't dare. At that moment, Jang Yuke, having just finished drinking with the royal physician, arrived and coincidentally saw the 2 of them. After Seo Yol left, he walked over to her. Although he didn't know what she was doing, he now knew how to breathe thanks to the royal physician. He began to summon everyone in Songram. Jang Yuke could now cultivate. To show his loyalty, he intended to hand over Naz's sword to Songram, but Park Jin refused and brought out Jang Gang's sword. The possessions of the Jang family should be kept by them. At this moment, in front of everyone, he forbade Jang Yuke from freely entering and exiting Songram and from arbitrarily viewing any martial arts secrets, then told him to hand over his token. Hearing these words, Mu Diak was slightly startled because she had lost her token long ago. The consequence of losing it was receiving 100 strikes. Seeing Jang Yuke take the beating for her, she felt extremely guilty. After receiving 99 strikes, with only 1 remaining, he requested that Park Jin deliver the final blow himself. At this moment, he really hoped Jang Yuke would collapse on the spot and not get up because only then would there be hope for his survival later. However, he wasn't what he thought. Mu Diak grabbed a sword. The moment she held the sword, the 2 officially left Songram. This is a forbidden area of the Jin family, one of the 4 great families. Jiniawen inside contains the Jin family's treasures, including the soul ejector. The last time Jang Yuke broke it, Jin Cho-yeon pieced the hundreds of shards back together to get it working as before. That night, a mysterious man quietly appeared outside the Jin family's restricted area. He possessed a magic power that could silence all things. Instead of killing the guards, he merely rendered them temporarily unconscious before entering. "Sapsali, come out and join me." If the head of the Jin family were there to witness this, he would have grabbed his dual swords, mounted his X-Way likely a horse steed, and chased after this dog thief. The Jin family's prized KHUY letter 1EC3N dog spirit was being lured away with just a few words from this man. Black smoke rose into the air, eventually coalescing into the form of a dog. "Just help me find a soul shifter, and I'll give you lots of tasty treats. Let's have a pleasant collaboration." Meanwhile, Mu Diak and Jang Yuke were expelled from Songram and returned to the Jang family estate. However, something seemed to be amiss with Jang Uk's body. Even though he was bathing in freezing cold water, he felt incredibly hot. She reached out to touch him. "I didn't do anything, so why is the water suddenly so hot?" Mu Diak touched Jang Yuke and discovered that his entire body was practically smoking, burning hot to the touch. Suddenly, a thought she hadn't considered crossed her mind. Being beaten might have sped up the circulation of his Jin Kai inner energy. It turned out that Jang Uk's endurance of the 100 blows had caused the Jin Kai within him to change. However, to fully possess the Jin Kai, the initial heat had to be converted into cold energy. So, Mu Diok hurriedly fetched cold water from the well to combine the two types of energy, stimulating his cold energy. Nevertheless, her strange actions still attracted the attention of Master Kim. How can you use cold water to soak medicine for a sick person? They checked the bathtub, but Jang Yuke was gone. The hot water had now turned cold. Finally, they found him in the study, reciting poetry. By evening, Mu Diok suddenly realized that something was a bit off with Jang Yuke. Seeing that the young master was alright, Master Kim left, but Jang Yuke was as cold as if he were trapped in ice. Now it's become cold energy. The Jin Kai is circulating faster. I underestimated things. She hurriedly placed everything that could provide warmth next to Jang Yuke. Only if he could withstand it could he fully possess the Jin Kai within him. Simply put, if he succumbed to unconsciousness from the cold energy, he would never see the light of day again. To warm Jang Yuke up further, Mu Diok climbed into the covers and held him tightly. At the same time, Park Jin and several others at Songram inquired in many places before learning that the identity of the soul shifter who infiltrated them last time was most likely the star chart recorder from Chinbugwan. This must be related to that place. So Park Jin ordered Seo Yul to secretly observe all the actions of Chinbugwan. The next day, when Mu Diok woke up, Jang Yuke wasn't beside her. Looking up, it seemed he had returned to normal. At that moment, Jang Yuke stood alone by the window, recalling the promise Baek Jin had made to him, that if he could draw the sword of Jang Gara's father, he would teach him magic. What was strange was that he had acquired Jin Kai but still couldn't draw the sword. To draw a sorcerer's sword containing water energy, the user must achieve flowing water to release the energy. It turns out I still can't circulate Jin Kai for others, so I can't draw the sword. At the same time, the Crown Prince suddenly arrived. Because Jang Yuke had previously taken Noxu's sword from Chinbugwan, he had come to retrieve the sword. Jang Yuke glanced at Mu Diok beside him and said, "Did Master Kim take it? Oh, and by the way, there's another sword here that you can't draw, right? Isn't that the sword the king bestowed upon Headmaster Jang Gang? I'll just take that one with me too." I'm so amused by how this Crown Prince, the moment he sees a valuable gift, immediately assumes it's his. Oh, come on, look at me, I'm the Crown Prince. So skilled at Go. However, today's opponent is Jang Yuke, who doesn't even know how to circulate his Kai. Betting his father Jang Gang's sword, Jang Yuke, fully aware that he's severely outmatched, stubbornly rushes forward to face the Crown Prince's attacks, getting pushed further and further back. The Crown Prince hasn't even used half his strength at this point. Looking at the man before him, Jang Yuke suddenly remembers Mu Diok's words, that being hit actually makes his Kai circulate faster. So he charges headfirst towards the Crown Prince with a death wish. He gets pummeled over and over, only to keep getting back up. Still, the difference in skill is too much, and Jang Yuke keeps failing. Just as the Crown Prince is about to deliver the final blow, watch out, it's Night Soil. Luckily, Mu Diok, using 100% of her admittedly a bit sketchy brainpower, hurls a pot of Night Soil at him. The Crown Prince is completely taken aback by this sudden action. Seeing his robes covered in the foul-smelling mess, he instantly goes ballistic. Very quickly, he then realizes he's inadvertently stepped out of bounds. Once someone steps out, the match is over. Meanwhile, Seo Yul and his group, who were planning to visit Jang Yuke, arrive and witness the scene. The Crown Prince lost. According to the rules, he has to give up Jang Gang's sword. But he's not going to let Mu Diok get away with this. He, with his high status, just got Night Soil thrown all over his clothes. In that moment, the Crown Prince draws his sword and raises it towards Mu Diok. However, what happens next leaves everyone present in shock. Unexpectedly, Jang Yuke has managed to activate the hidden Kai within him, and the sword is as if enchanted. At this moment, he officially reaches the flowing water realm. With one swing, he directly slices the Crown Prince's sword in two. Looking at the broken sword in his hand, then back at Jang Yuke. Jang Yuke, the guy whose energy gates are blocked, can't use true magic. It turns out he's been fooling everyone all this time. Before he can even process what's happening, the next scene is even more shocking. Jang Uk's hand, as if out of control, raises the sword in front of the Crown Prince. then starts swinging it wildly. The Crown Prince, scared, quickly pulls out his practice sword to defend himself. Everyone is telling him to stop, but Zhang Yuke can't stop. The Crown Prince, enraged, unleashes his Kai and swings his sword at Zhang Yuke. Mao Yun manages to stop them in time. Dang Gu also rushes to Zhang Uk's side, only to get knocked out cold by a devastating punch. His hand seems to have a flowing source of power, but he can't control it. Choyol, seeing this, uses the Phoenix Binding, weighing over 100 tons, to immobilize Zhang Uk's hand, and the situation finally improves. The Crown Prince is furious and orders them to remove the Phoenix Binding. The Crown Prince insists that he pick up his sword and fight again from the beginning. The three men try to explain to Zhang Yuke, but that only makes him angrier. Looks like the four heirs of the four great clans are looking to go up against the royal family. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. If nothing was done, there was a high chance that the four great clans would be inadvertently destroyed by the royal family. What kind of treasure could it be that was making the people of the four great clans fight over it like that? All that could be seen was Mu Diok bringing a bucket of diluted human waste in front of the Crown Prince. Not wanting the royal family and the four great clans to clash, she decided to drink the whole thing. However, as she lifted it, Zhang Yuke, who was behind her, seemed to understand her intention. Why would you drink human waste? He also knelt before the Crown Prince. This was my fault. I should be the one to drink it. I was the one who provoked the Crown Prince. The two of them politely fought over who would drink it, but there was a lot of it. Should I drink it, or should we each take half? Zhang Yuke sighed, trying to hold back the stench. The Crown Prince looked annoyed. He couldn't believe there were people fighting to drink human waste. Let me drink it. How much is there, anyway? At this moment, Dang Gu from the Park family also intended to try this delicacy of the world. However, the moment he picked it up, it really was human waste. Xiao Yul, seeing this, hurriedly stepped forward to the Crown Prince to beg forgiveness for their actions. The Crown Prince couldn't take it anymore and, holding his breath, ordered his subordinates to quickly take him away. However, before they left, Mu Diok looked at the sword right in front of her, picked it up, and ran to the Crown Prince, knowing that his main goal was still Naxu's sword. So, Mu Diok flatteringly offered the sword to him, using it as an excuse to prevent the Crown Prince from making things difficult for the four great clans. He was amused by her, and perhaps felt a little flutter. Afterwards, he asked Mu Diok's name. The person who just threw human waste on me? From now on, I will call you Dung Spreader. Just like that, Mu Diok had a new name, and the chaos came to an end. Meanwhile, in Songram, because the soul ejector disappeared strangely, the Jin family head came here. Suspecting that the Jin family's barrier could be broken, and only by someone from the Jin family, she wanted to ask Songram for help, because Jin Mu was also a Jin, and also the younger brother of the family head. Although he was illegitimate, he was still called upon. Just as the people of Songram were preparing to discuss countermeasures, Zhang Yuke and his Sioho village crew came and stirred up trouble outside. At this moment, he wanted to draw the sword he had never drawn in 20 years in front of everyone, to use it to prove his strength. When the sword was drawn, Park Jin and Jin Mu were shocked. Unexpectedly, in just 10 short days, Zhang Yuke had reached the flowing water level. He wanted to study at Songram. Park Jin had promised that if he could draw the sword, but Park Jin immediately asked him to remove the connection Phoenix medallion. Knowing that something would happen, he still obeyed and removed the connection Phoenix medallion. Park Jin told him to hold the sword firmly, but a second later, Zhang Yuke lost control and directly swung the sword at him. Xiao Yul managed to stop him in time, and combined with Chan's magic, they managed to control him. He was so strong that he even broke the Crown Prince's sword. After hearing that Zhang Yuke had attacked the Crown Prince and even shattered Park Jin's sword, unable to contain his anger, Park Jin immediately ordered his subordinates to imprison him in the dungeon. However, Jin Mu overheard the incident with the Crown Prince. It was a good opportunity to get rid of Zhang Yuke, because the Crown Prince was his disciple, and also came from the royal family, so his Chinbugwan would definitely not sit still and wait to die. That night, Park Jin came to see Zhang Yuke, his attitude much better than during the day, like the look of a father looking at his son. He advised him not to study magic anymore, telling him to study medicine instead. But he refused. Zhang Yuke wanted to study magic and become the next head of the Jianga clan, following in Zhang Gang's footsteps. However, the sentence Park Jin said immediately afterwards pushed him into the abyss. Your real father is not Zhang Gang. After hearing everything, Zhang Yuke was completely distraught, at a loss for words. He wanted to ask who his biological father was, but Park Jin wouldn't answer. He was protecting Zhang Yuke, not wanting him to learn sorcery because he was the greatest variable concerning the royal family, and the son of Chenbugwan's lord. From that moment on, no matter how beautifully charming and endearing Mu Diak tried to be, he remained indifferent, losing all faith in life and any interest in sorcery. Then one day, Jin Mu paid a visit, which brought about some progress. He used Zhang Yuke as leverage to threaten the crown prince's safety, even suggesting his hands be severed. Seeing the royal physician speechless, Mu Diak spoke up as the person directly involved. It was a fair match. If you don't believe it, then have them rematch. Hearing this, Jin Mu suddenly became intrigued. The next day, Chenbugwan and the royal family issued a formal challenge. The two sides would engage in a genuine duel, with life and death decided according to the rules of Diho. Meanwhile, his allies came to find Zhang Yuke, summarizing the situation in simple terms. Afterwards, when Park Jin entered the secret chamber, the four of them were gone. At that moment, by the river at the foot of a distant mountain, Mu Diak was leading Zhang Yuke on a path to training. The scene shifted, and Park Jin was summoned to the palace by the king. Standing beside him was Jin Mu. The king warned him that if Zhang Yuke didn't appear for the duel, his qualifications as the heir to Chenbugwan would be revoked. This Zhang Yuke, named Zhang Yuke, was a genius. Even though his energy gates had been sealed for 20 years, he easily reached the stage of water gathering and even broke the crown prince's sword. However, after that incident, a variable related to the royal family also arrived. Because the spiritual energy within his body was unstable, and to temporarily avoid the crown prince's challenge, Mu Diak took Zhang Yuke on a boat to the place where she used to train. As they cautiously stepped around, Mu Diak sensed someone's presence. Mu Diak was a little surprised. Her place of refuge had clearly been destroyed by those people, so how could these things appear? There was even roasted chicken here, surely a sign that someone was living here. But who could live in this desolate place? Just as she was pondering this, a dog appeared behind her. It wasn't a normal dog. The spirit residing within was the Jin family's treasure, the soul hound. Seeing the woman before it, radiating the energy of a soul shifter, the soul hound seemed to smell delicious food and immediately lunged forward. Quiet, okay? Stay back. Fortunately, Zhang Yuke stepped in front of Mu Diak. Recognizing the familiar face, the soul hound suddenly remembered the previous incident. He simply pursed his lips slightly, and it immediately quieted down, letting him pet its head like a pet. However, Mu Diak sensed that this dog was not normal. Zhang Yuke, hearing this, immediately told it to go find its owner. Scene change. Unbeknownst to the two of them, in addition to Zhang Gang, the heads of the other 11 families had all gathered at Sangram. They were preparing to hold a meeting. Jin Mu also heard the news, seeing Zhang Uk's challenge to the crown prince as a direct affront to the royal family. Even though the crown prince insisted he was merely sparring with Zhang Yuke, Jin Mu declared it was far from a personal matter. The king had issued an order, and the General Assembly was convening. If they approved the duel, a conflict would erupt. This signaled a clash between the royal family and the sorcerers, fracturing the peace and stability between them. Meanwhile, in the main hall, Park Jin and the heads of the great families had convened to decide whether to relinquish the position of chieftain Guanju, which would mean Zhang Yuke would lose the chieftain position he inherited from Gang. Someone seized the opportunity and said, "I heard Zhang Yuke ran away before even accepting the challenge. Rather than endure such humiliation, why don't we take this chance to strip Zhang Yuke of his true qualification? If we strip his qualification, we will have to cut off all of his energy channels and remove his sorcery." Finally, Park Jin couldn't stand it any longer, considering that everyone sitting there had once been Zhang Uk's teacher. He was shocked they could make such callous remarks. He knew the real reason they were doing this was because of Zhang Uk's civil war with the royal family. The invitation to challenge from the royal family was received by Sangram. "We, Sangram, will bear any humiliation. So, let's be clear that this is a battle between the royal family and Songrim. On the other hand, the two, fast asleep in the middle of nowhere, were completely unaware that a formidable master had appeared and entered the house. The man walked straight to Mudiok's bed. He sensed the aura of a soul shifter. Not wanting Mudiok to drain people's life force, the man intended to kill her. Just then, a burst of blue energy emanated from Mudiok's body. What perplexed him even more was that if a soul shifter inhabited a weak body, they should have lost control long ago. How was she still alive and well? At that moment, Jang Yuke woke up behind him, sword drawn, and pointed at the man. Realizing the man's power was considerable, he immediately unleashed his Phoenix Lightning. Mudiok could only rely on the uncontrolled inner energy and went crazy, starting a fight with him. However, the man's strength was truly beyond his imagination. Surprisingly, even with his Kai Gate energy gates open, Jang Yuke was no match for him. Mudiok, run away! When Mudiok awoke from her dream, it was already morning. Strangely, Jang Yuke was sitting with the man, looking at a wound on his neck. She seemed to remember what happened last night, that the man had tried to kill her, but Jang Yuke had shielded her. However, looking at the two of them now, it was clearly different from last night, as if they were best friends forever, who had become bosom buddies after just one day. Don't you remember what happened last night? No. She was just standing there watching us fight. I saw someone inside the house, so I took a look, but you suddenly drew your sword and attacked, forcing me to respond. I also woke up with a start. The two of them didn't know that the man had already discovered Mudiok's secret, but had temporarily overlooked it because her soul was special. He was a supreme master, having cultivated to the level of water control. Splitting firewood with his bare hands had reached the level of water gathering, and he could blow fire with his Kai. His power was beyond streamflow. Liu Shui is even stronger than me? That was close. However, what happened next shocked them both even more. The man just gently waved his hand, and the soaking wet clothes instantly became dry in an instant. Suspicious activity detected. Holy crap. Just a wave of his hand, and he can do that with water. He's on a whole other level compared to a waterbending master. Did he just say waterbending master? Jang Yuke exclaimed, wide-eyed. Last night I didn't know any better and challenged a master like that. I'm lucky to have main character plot armor. But being relegated to a supporting character means the audience has already forgotten my name. Seeing the man looking in his direction, he awkwardly turned his head. However, the man wasn't paying attention to him, but rather to the teacup in Mudiok's hand. You drank a whole pot already? Yes. I didn't realize you drank the whole pot of tea. Mudiok quickly held the cup up to her nose and sniffed, seemingly finding nothing unusual. It's Duan Cow. Hearing that, she vaguely recalled something. Its effect is supposed to block romantic feelings, hindering the cultivation process. Hearing this, Jang Yuke froze. Mudiok suddenly remembered a legend of someone who had eliminated carnal desires, honed his magic, and reached the highest realm. He always wore clothes made of hemp cloth, so he was known as Teacher Li Hempfed. Seeing that the man didn't deny it, she realized he was the rumored sorcerer. However, Jang Yuke, upon learning the effects of Duan Cow, was so shocked that he directly knelt before Teacher Li. Hearing him say that drinking one pot wasn't a big deal, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Mudiok, of course, had to seize this opportunity. She wanted to ask Teacher Li to help Jang Yuke with his energy flow. The man didn't refuse, but the condition was that he had to drink Duan Cow. I have to drink it? Jang Yuke exclaimed, horrified. Wanting me to drink Duan is like taking my life. Mudiok immediately comforted him, telling him to temporarily agree to learn from Teacher Li. After all, meeting a master like that is harder than going to Dalat with only $10 in your pocket. Hearing that, Jang Yuke suddenly got angry. Unexpectedly, the bowl on the table suddenly flew up and went straight for Mudiok's head. Any other girl would have made a scene, but she didn't complain, didn't get angry, and instead excitedly looked at the Phoenix-linked hand binding on his right hand. Because only reaching the Liu Shui level could he perform that action. It turned out that Jang Yuke had unintentionally unleashed this power. If he had removed the Phoenix-linked binding and used his strength properly, she might have taken a trip down the river Styx. I'm telling you, learning the basics and becoming overpowered like this means it won't be long before Jang UK dominates the virtual world. He'll make those other guys eat 2 or 3 bowls of rice. And you'll get your mana back then too. Seeing this scene, Mideok suddenly saw a glimmer of hope in the dark basement. Meanwhile, Park Jin quietly snuck into Chunbugwan to find the star chart from the day Jang UK was born, because the King's star had appeared in the sky that day. In the past, because he didn't want this matter to be discovered by many people, and also to protect Jang UK, Jang Gang had someone steal the star chart. Looking at the map before him, Park Jin suddenly fell into reminiscence. At this moment, Jin Mu approached, and noticing his odd behavior, also paid attention to Jang Uk's star chart. However, Park Jin immediately snapped out of it and composed himself. The fact that Songram had discovered a sorcerer working at Chunbugwan meant that this place was now highly suspicious. Not wanting to give Jin Mu time to react, he had already made arrangements. They began searching for clues. When Jin Mu was informed by his subordinate about a dead body in the secret chamber, he found it very perplexing. It turned out that the last time their man lost control on the way, he had devoured the soul of an ordinary person, and then left the corpse in the secret chamber. Meanwhile, everyone searched the entire Grand Hall. Eventually, Jang Gu discovered that some officials were missing in the records, and the only place to hide a body would be the secret chamber. However, after the two of them entered, it was completely empty. As it turned out, Jin Mu had secretly ordered his subordinates to transport the body from the tunnel to the outside using a carriage. However, Park Jin had anticipated this. Seo Yul and Jang Gu appeared and quickly intercepted the carriage, and a fight ensued. In the chaos, one of the men, knowing his limitations, hurriedly drove the carriage out of the city. When Seo Yul caught up, there was nothing inside. He only found a token under the carpet. The owner was a member of Songram. Everything was orchestrated by Jin Mu. This time, the target of their suspicion would no longer be Chunbugwan, but their own place. This Songram golden brick, this blazing hot item, is a token that can overrule the king. The Dayan family stayed up all night during a sale to get it, with a deal that was not only free, but also came with free shipping. No matter where, as long as it's a ruling by the sorcerers at the General Assembly, it's enough to depose the dumb king. It's obvious how precious this token is. But now, the Jin family patriarch is giving it to Chief Kim. If Jang UK possesses the token, he can refuse the royal decree and avoid being stripped of his qualifications to inherit the position of head of Chunbugwan. However, they have one condition: he must marry Cho Yul. The relationship between the two families is a bit complicated because the Jin family had previously cancelled the engagement. That's just my way. I want to get married now, that's it. If we're going to compete, we're going to compete to the very end. Hearing those words, Chief Kim didn't immediately agree, but waited for Jang UK to return to discuss it. On the other hand, Jang UK spent his days with Teacher Lee, picking flowers and catching butterflies in the mountains, and personally cooking meals. His life was so chill, as they say, that he seemed to have completely forgotten the purpose of his being there. Mudiak didn't understand and asked him about it. However, Jang UK said, "Mudiak, it seems like I'm very well suited to live in this remote, backwater place. Thank you, Mudiak, for pulling me from the bustling city back to the countryside. Fishing in the morning, picking flowers in the afternoon, living a peaceful life, not needing to stress about working hard and getting rained on to earn money." Seeing that he had no reaction, she became even angrier. It seemed like he was living too chill and had forgotten what he needed to do. So, the two had a big fight. Mudiak couldn't stand her anger and turned around to leave for the tavern, where she started spreading rumors that Jang UK was training so much that liquid was flowing out, and that all it would take was spreading the rumors. If he didn't show up by then, he would lose face. As soon as she left the tavern, the people Mudiak least wanted to meet appeared, the people from Chunbugwan. They had been observing her for a long time. Last time they couldn't find Naksu, and he suspected Mudiak might be Naksu. When the subordinate revealed her shoulder, they didn't see any traces of a soul shifter. However, they didn't realize that the trace was in Mudiak's eyes. Just at the critical moment, the crown prince suddenly appeared, as if she had seen a savior. Adding to what Duju had said vaguely last time, she immediately ran over and started flattering the crown prince, temporarily resolving the crisis. What is that spoiled and pathetic young master doing? He's always out and about, always late, womanizing. Hearing Mudiak belittle her master and sweet-talking him, the crown prince thought it made sense. So, she took the opportunity to say that she could think of a way to prevent the people outside from catching her again. The crown prince frowned thoughtfully, pretended for a bit, and finally gave his scent pouch to Mudiak. If she got caught again, she could just hold up the scent pouch. After that, the two started drinking. On another note, after learning that Mudiak had descended the mountain, Jang Yuke and Master Li also went down. On the way, they happened to see a corpse drained of its life force by a soul shifter. This was the same body that Seo Yol had failed to notice before. It was Master Li's responsibility to deal with all soul shifters. Do all soul shifters eventually go berserk? Or is it different if they reach the stage of H1 Su? Is it even possible for an ordinary person to reach that level? Of course it is. Someone wants to become my disciple and cultivate to H1 Su, don't they? Seeing Jang Uk's talent and remembering their previous positive encounter, Master Li strongly desired him to become his disciple. However, Jang Yuke didn't seem inclined to dabble without commitment. At that moment, the people of Chinbugwen, afraid of being discovered by them, fled. Suddenly, a rainbow appeared in the sky. While everyone was distracted, Master Li quietly took the corpse away. A while later, Jang Yuke arrived at the tavern Mudiak frequented. Seeing her so drunk, he felt deeply disturbed. Perhaps, at this moment, the shackles in his heart were gradually loosening. Just then, under Dang Guk's command, Seo Yol and Dang Gu also arrived. Having missed their target the previous night, they discovered that the owner of the token was Jang Yuke. Coincidentally, he also claimed that his token had been stolen. To uncover the truth, the two of them came to find Jang Yuke, and this was also where Seo Yol and his first love were meeting for the first time. In his drunken haze, he seemed to see her. But gradually, she transformed into a drunken Mudiak. Afterward, the two of them were enthusiastically offered a refreshing tea made from a special herb by Jang Yuke. Meanwhile, Master Li brought the corpse into Sangram. Hearing his subordinate report that someone had broken the barrier and humming a tune ordering the royal physician, he rushed out. When he looked closely at the face of the person who had arrived, he was incredibly excited. It turned out that the royal physician's master was none other than Master Li himself. Bathed in brilliant light, watching Mudiak filter the liquor, Jang Yuke finally didn't cry like cry, but decided that from now on, he would embark on a path he had never taken before. Seo Yol, with his handsome looks and brilliant intellect, possessed what he needed, unlike some teacher who, for instance, was the strongest in the land, and that was all he was. The Four Seasons, a body that not only contained powerful magic, but also had insights beyond ordinary people, could be said to be the young generation's own version of the twin. However, at this moment, they encountered a difficult problem: cooking. Had he ever cooked before? Never. But if someone instructed him, he could do it. Although Seo Yol usually learned magic very quickly, when faced with the everyday task of cooking, he had to put on a show to save face. He said, "I can do it after just hearing it once," and she told him. But facing Mudiak's merciless scolding, he reluctantly made an excuse to chop vegetables. "But didn't I tell you to chop the onions into large chunks? Like this? No, much bigger." Mudiak was speechless looking at the man in front of her. He usually walked the path of power with ease, had a vast knowledge and handsome looks. Yet she didn't expect that he wouldn't even know the basics of everyday life. He poured another bowl of water into the soup. What does one bowl of water mean? This one or this one? Seeing the two of them bickering in the room, Jang Yuke felt extremely annoyed. He wasn't in love yet, but he was already this jealous. Later, the four of them went to the ancient tree on the mountaintop. Looking at the large tree in front of him, Seo Yol suddenly remembered a story with a girl from the past. When he was very young, whenever he was injured, she would carefully bandage him up. One day, when she learned that he was from the Seo family, her attitude completely changed. Her eyes no longer held affection but were cold as if looking at an enemy. Even now, Seo Yol still didn't understand why his crush had left him. He couldn't have imagined that in that period of time, the innocent girl from that year had visited the Thousand Valleys, becoming the strongest shadow assassin of the capital, Naksu. What he couldn't believe even more was that at this moment, The assassin Nak-su he longed for was right beside him, only after soul shifting her body had changed and Seo Yul basically did not recognize her. Today, Mu Deok led them to the large, ancient tree because she wanted to enjoy the view from up there. If she were still Nak-su, climbing to the top would be as easy as scrolling through the trending topics online. However, even as an ordinary person, she really wanted to see the scenery from the treetop. Dang-gu, sensing what Mu Deok was thinking, wanted to carry her up, but Jang Yuke taunted him, saying, "How's Nguyen going to get her up there? You'd need someone like Thai to do that. Maybe I'll give it a try." Hearing this, Mu Deok was tempted to go along, but after glancing at Jang Yuke beside her, she ultimately left the area. Meanwhile, in Songram, 3 people were re-examining the record of the soul shifters. When Master Lee overheard Park Jin talking about the incident, something seemed to occur to him. Just then, a subordinate entered and, through investigating the dead man's identity, discovered that he came from Chunbugwan when he was alive. It seemed that Vice Master Jin Mu really was problematic. When the subordinate saw the humble and cautious demeanor of the royal physician and the commander-in-chief before the man, he was completely bewildered, as if he were witnessing something impossible. As soon as the 2 men left, he couldn't resist asking about it. The answer was that when Park Jin was very young, that man was already 100 years old, and he was also a disciple of the master who founded Songram. Master Lee overheard the royal physician and became certain that the young man currently staying at his house was Jang Gang's son. Furthermore, according to his deduction, Mu Deok was highly likely to be the soul shifter assassin Nakaksu. On the other side, Seo Yul and Jang Yuke returned to Songram from Dananguk, having found no leads regarding the token. Park Jin had no choice but to postpone that matter. However, Seo Yul's trip brought back memories of himself and Naksu. Having seen her corpse before, coupled with the trip to Dananguk, had triggered his memory, so he was sure that the girl he was with that year was Naksu. He then asked Park Jin and the royal physician, wanting to learn more from them. At that moment, he remembered something Naksu had mentioned. Her father had redrawn the constellations at Chunbugwan. Actually redrew constellations at Chunbugwan. Unexpectedly, upon hearing about the events that occurred 20 years ago, something suddenly clicked in his mind. 20 years ago, the 4 great families purged the entire family of a man, with only 1 daughter unaccounted for. Hearing this, Seo Yul finally understood. She must have thought he was the son of her family's enemy, which was why she deliberately avoided him. Once the strongest shadow assassin in Diho, she was now inhabiting a weak body without any mana. Now, her disciple was about to have a duel with the Crown Prince. However, for Jang Yuke, who couldn't even control his Kai properly, facing the Crown Prince would only lead to death. Then, Mu Deok suddenly had an idea. The splitting water stream technique. This is a true technique that only those who have reached the mastery of water level can practice. Jang Yuke had only just reached the water flow stage, so the splitting water technique was, in fact, not suitable for him at all. But this was the only way to help him survive the duel with the Crown Prince. Jang Yuke removed the Phoenix Stone bracelet, and suddenly his Kai went out of control, relentlessly slashing at the obstacles in front of him. Although his right arm didn't have enough strength, due to the Phoenix Stone, his arm was much stronger. He kept repeating the motion, practicing until night. It was only with great difficulty that he made some progress, but Mu Deok still shook her head in resignation. The next day, early in the morning, he was practicing almost back to the original spot. Even though Jang Yuke was incredibly diligent, the splitting water technique was not that simple. Master Lee saw this scene. From the actions and gestures of the two, it was easy to guess that they were not master and servant at all, but rather, they were more like teacher and student. This further confirmed the conclusion in his mind. No matter how long he practiced, from early morning to late at night and then into the wee hours, Jang Uk's swordsmanship gradually improved. This time, he wanted to try the broadsword. Unexpectedly, the moment he held the blade, he almost lost control. Looking at the basin of water on the ground, Jang Yuke immediately removed the Phoenix Spirit Bond. He could now control the inner energy in his right hand a little, even if only for a brief moment, but continuing to practice like this would be too much for his body to handle. Jang Yuke didn't know that Mu Deok hadn't mentioned a crucial piece of information when teaching the water bullet technique. If there was any uncertainty during the training process, it could cost you your life. And right now, his body was clearly overloaded. At this moment, Master Li appeared before them, saying, "It could even lead to necrosis, in which case, it'll have to be amputated." Really? Hearing his words, Zhang Yuke immediately looked at Mu Diak with disbelief. "I was trying to learn it to perfection, and you didn't tell me this?" She playfully pinched his cheek, then rambled on, "It's your own fault for trying to copy me." Meanwhile, in the royal court, the king disregarded the national laws and brought a young woman into the palace. It was said that a strange phenomenon occurred on the day she was born. To this day, the number of girls born with unusual destinies within the palace walls is countless. The king's sole purpose is to obtain the emperor's star. Later, Jin Mu led the crown prince into a room. After the late king passed away, someone prophesied that the successor would be born with the energy of the emperor's star. However, the current king, as well as the crown prince, inherited the throne with ordinary star signs. This latent threat always made the crown prince wary. He also feared that one day a child with the true energy of the emperor's star would appear. So, Jin Mu began to fuel the flames, exaggerating the situation. Soon, there would be a competition with Zhang Yuke. Taking this opportunity, he should eliminate the son of the person who made that prophecy, nipping a potential threat in the bud. It's rumored that using yin-yang jade as rings, after a man and woman wear them, even if they don't love each other, feelings will arise. Fingers crossed so my brothers and I can snag a deal. Now, the Jin family head gave it to Chun. She was overjoyed to hear this because her wedding to Zhang Yuke was only a few days away. So, taking advantage of this opportunity, she asked her mother if she could use the room that had been empty for over 10 years as her bridal chamber. Hearing this, the family head immediately refused, because the room on the east side was always reserved for the eldest daughter who disappeared 10 years ago. Even though she hasn't been found, she believes that one day her daughter will return. At this moment, Zhang Yuke learned from Master Li that he was about to marry Chun. Before they could even eat, they stared blankly at each other, eyes wide. What the heck? On the other hand, Chun went to the secret chamber. As she took the jade and was about to leave, a spirit intentionally made her stumble. "You little brat, was that a person again?" After closing the treasure container, she didn't seem to notice the cover of the mirror behind her suddenly falling. After she had left, her reflection in the mirror smiled meaningfully. Mu Diak and Zhang Yuke took a boat down the mountain. After disembarking, they parted ways. Mu Diak unexpectedly ran into the strange group again. Even though she held up the crown prince's pouch, it had no effect because the crown prince himself had arranged for her capture. In a surprising turn, he even helped Mu Diak apply eyeliner in his spare time, almost making him not recognize her. The crown prince had only one reason for summoning her today, to have her deliver a message to Zhang Yuke. It was best if he didn't show up to the duel. If he simply didn't come, he wouldn't die. At most, he'd only get scolded by his elders. If Zhang Yuke were to run away, the outcome would be favorable. It seemed the crown prince didn't want to incur the wrath of Songrim. Meanwhile, at the tavern, after inquiring in many places, Xiao Yol finally learned who had sold the token. To protect her life, Go Ae at the tavern had no choice but to implicate Mu Diak. Afterward, he stepped out of the tavern and coincidentally saw Mu Diak approaching. Stunned by her beauty with makeup, after a few simple questions, Xiao Yol got straight to the point. He asked why Mu Diak had sold the token. She could only explain that she needed money. With money, she could buy beautiful clothes and eat delicious food. Xiao Yol, hearing this, was at a loss for words. Unbeknownst to Mu Diak, their conversation had been clearly overheard by someone from Chunbuk Asi upstairs. Cho Yon, carrying the yin-yang jade, came to the tavern wanting to find the best craftsman. However, the moment she opened it, she was shocked and quickly ran out with the jade. It seemed she had tripped in the secret chamber, causing it to break in two. Wondering what to do, she spotted Mu Diak, who had recently become close to Zhang Yuke. Cho Yon then gave the yin-yang jade to Mu Diak, intending to use her cunning to deceive her, completely unaware that Mu Diak was no ordinary person. The instant she touched the box, she sensed that the jade inside was broken. Cho Yon definitely had ill intentions. After refusing her request, Mu Diak ran out of the tavern. However, she ran right into the Chunbuk Asi's people again. With no choice but to pick a side, she ignored what she heard or saw and awkwardly held the box, temporarily escaping danger. Afterward, the group returned to the Jin family mansion. The moment Mudiak entered, a strange scene unfolded. The birds in the cage began to sing merrily, and the treasures in the secret chamber began to stir, as if sensing a summons. After greeting the madam, seemingly having heard some guidance, Mudiak went into the secret chamber and discovered a peculiar mirror. She reached out to touch it, and a second later, she was pulled inside, where she was told it was a mystical stone that shouldn't exist in the world. 20 years ago, Diho suffered a severe drought. To pray for rain, everyone gathered all the sorcerers to perform a sacrificial rite, and it began to hail. The process was incredibly successful, but on that day, a strange piece of ice appeared. It couldn't be melted. It even turned into a spark and then into a stone. Through a continuous process of transformation, it would produce a black powder. This powder was the soul-shifting incense, used for soul-shifting magic, which could put a soul into a dead body, bringing someone back to life. It could also swap the souls of two different people. However, if used for evil purposes, the terrifying consequences it would bring were unimaginable. Once it lost control, it would absorb the life force of the living. It was because of its appearance that the world descended into chaos. After countless days and nights of struggle, a certain mage finally brought an end to the war. That mage was Chenbugwan, the founder of Songram. Li Tibik was his disciple. Currently, there is a place dedicated to containing the demonic energy created from the ice stone. It is the Jin family's secret chamber. Tonight, something will happen at the Jin household. A servant carrying the yin-yang jade mysteriously vanishes. Unexpectedly, the crown prince and even descendants of the four great families come to the Jin household, all because of one servant. First, the crown prince encounters Mudiak in the palace, but he finds her behavior and alluring eyeliner to be very strange. Someone who hates cinnamon wine as much as she does is acting so natural, so he asks her who she is. Realizing her identity has been exposed, the demon flees. Seo Yul of the four great families also meets Mudiak in a room, after their encounter in that remote, desolate place. He seems to have an indescribable feeling towards her, a sense that she isn't human. Seo Yul essentially discovers her true nature. He's about to eliminate her but stops, looking at the shattered mirror. Seo Yul deduces that the person they met may have been an illusion of Mudiak. At the same time, Jang Yuke also arrives at the manor, looking at the crown prince before him in silence. He only goes to the family head to apologize respectfully, saying that he will definitely find Mudiak. Seeing Jang Yuk's sincere attitude, the family head accepts his apology. However, he has another purpose. Since permission has been granted, please open the door to that place. Open the door to where the Jin family's demonic energy and magical artifacts are stored. Hearing these words, everyone looks at him with astonished eyes. Only the family head and Chun can open that door. How could a servant like her possibly enter? However, the crown prince and Seo Yul both saw the illusion of Mudiak. Only demonic energy inside could cause such a phenomenon. Under Jang Uk's resolute demeanor, the family head finally opens the door, but only gives them half an hour. Looking at the treasures inside, even the crown prince can't help but exclaim, "Can you be quiet for a moment? Did you come here to sightsee?" Unexpectedly, as soon as they enter, the two start throwing boasting punches at each other. The crown prince mocks Jang Uk's weak magical power. "Absolutely don't touch any of this." So, will the mighty crown prince Goseong dare to touch anything? Upon hearing this, he laughs and then reaches out toward the closest object. Unexpectedly, Seo Yul appears in front of the two, telling them to be careful. What surprises the crown prince is that Seo Yul looks calm. After giving his warning, he heads in the opposite direction. Is he actually freaking out? Seo Yul never goes that way. It turns out that if Zion freaks out, she'll cosplay as Zoro. Feeling that this place is incredibly strange, the three of them quickly leave, heading further inside. However, they don't seem to notice the mirror. At this moment, Mudiak is trapped inside it. This is the place where all the demonic energy and magical artifacts that the Jin family controls are contained, called Zenon. Only the family head and Cho Yul can open the door. Unexpectedly, besides the two of them, there is someone else who can also open this door, and that is Mudiak. This scene is accidentally discovered by Cho Yul. Even she finds it difficult to understand how a servant can open the door. However, to cover up the fact that she broke the yin-yang jade, she decides to lock Mu Diak inside. On the night she disappeared, Jang Yuke and his two companions come here, but half an hour is almost up, and they still haven't found Mu Diak. Time is running out, so they have to leave quickly. However, where did the illusion ultimately come from? This makes the three of them feel incredibly confused. At this moment, Seo Yal suddenly remembers something. The mirror, that's right, there were mirrors when Mu Diak appeared in his and the Crown Prince's rooms. Thinking of this, Jang Yuke seems to know something, and the three of them go to the mirror. Looking at himself in the mirror, he sees another person. At this moment, trapped in that bizarre world, Mu Diak was lost and didn't know where she was. Outside, Cho Yol was extremely anxious. If they found Mu Diak, his framing of her would be exposed. A short while later, Seo Yul and the Crown Prince emerged and informed the clan leader about the situation. It turned out the mirror was called the Mirror of Insight, a mystical artifact capable of creating illusions, allowing them to see the person they were thinking of through another mirror. Seo Yul was trapped inside. However, to rescue her, they needed to move the mirror, as its dark energy was too strong. With their current level of sorcery, they simply couldn't manage it. However, the clan leader refused, even when the Crown Prince gave the order. She wouldn't listen. Jang Yuke was still inside. If more than half an hour passed, she would keep the door locked. Just then, Cho Yol, holding the yin-yang jade, explained to his mother that he had found it and that Mu Diak hadn't stolen it. Even so, the clan leader didn't care. Head Shaman Kim suddenly arrived with Commander Park Jin, saying, "If we can't move the mirror, then I'll have to go in and save them." He promised, "I won't touch any magical artifacts." However, the clan leader still refused. After being betrayed by sorcerers in the past, she wasn't going to trust anyone now. Meanwhile, inside the secret chamber, Jang Yuke looked at his strange reflection in the mirror. He suddenly realized something. It needs me as a source to create the illusion, right? Without someone to reflect, the mirror is just a useless object. With that, he threw a black cloth over the mirror. At that moment, the world inside the mirror began to change. Hearing Jang Uk's voice, Mu Diak immediately stood up. Hearing her voice, he poured out his feelings. As if sensing something, they both placed their hands on the mirror at the same time. Scenes from the past flashed through their minds, Jang Yuke being the one who wanted to help her climb to the top of the tree. A moment later, a strange change occurred where she was. The mirror suddenly trembled, and the magical artifacts resonated. It was the ice stone. Could the ice stone be residing within Mu Diak's body? Then, the mirror gradually shattered. In the real world, a strange phenomenon also occurred. The door suddenly emitted a light. Everyone stared wide-eyed ahead, not expecting the door to open on its own. They saw Jang Yuke carrying Mu Diak out. Cho Yol then told everyone that he had broken the yin-yang jade. But the clan leader was curious. The Mirror of Insight is a treasure containing powerful demonic energy. How could they escape? And the door to the Jin family's estate, if you don't have Jin family blood, you simply can't open it. Could Mu Diak have entered it herself? Cho Yol then told them what he had witnessed, but no one believed him. On the other hand, Mu Diak regained consciousness, but due to the intense light, she couldn't open her eyes right away. The kind Chief Kim put an eye covering on her and prepared to take her away. But what Mu Diak didn't expect was that all three men who secretly admired her had gathered there. Seeing her come out, the hot guys all wanted to take her to the best medical clinic. Just as Mu Diak didn't know which one to choose, Jang Yuke appeared and grabbed his crush's hand, leaving with the air of a victor in front of the other men. At the Jang residence, the nanny felt uncertain about whether the wedding between the Jang and Jin families would go smoothly, because in her opinion, the Jin family was too heartless. Park Jin, on the other hand, felt that sometimes you had to be strict like that to help people turn out well. Before this matter was settled, the nanny immediately switched to the topic of, "If I were locked in there, would you really abandon me?" Truly a question to make Park Jin's head spin. But before leaving, Park Jin got all sentimental, saying that if she were locked in there, his heart would break too, very melodramatic. Jang Yuke, from the courtyard, Jang Yuke, approaching. He met with Park Jin. He scolded him for being too reckless, but Jang Yuke retorted, From now on, I won't live according to the fleeting illusions that others impose on me. From now on, I'll ignore all the casual gossip and even hinder ma gaming, so that the online community knows who I am." After venting his feelings, he left. The next morning, Mudiak found her sight again. Jang Yuke also whispered sweet nothings. "Whatever happens, we live together, and if we die together." Then Mudiak asked about the wedding with the Jin family. Without needing many words, with just one sentence, Jang Yuke went to the Jin estate, face to face with Madame Jin, and spoke about the rumors. Maybe it's true that he's not Jang Gang's son. Then he awkwardly walked away, encountering Jin Mu on the way, and the main character politely bowed and left. The long-haired guy even glanced back at Jang Yuke. Awkwardly returning inside, Madame Jin heard the news that Jin Mu was the illegitimate son of the late master. As soon as she became the director, Madame Jin kicked Jin Mu out because she hated the bastard. Even so, Jin Mu put on his A-list actor act. "If you agree to cancel the marriage with Jang Yuke and let your daughter marry the crown prince, he will find a way to bring your eldest daughter back to you. At that time, the eldest daughter will become the director when you retire. The second daughter will be the crown princess, and he will be the master of Chenbugwan. Then the Jin family will be unstoppable." The scenario he's painting is beautiful, but whether it will actually happen, I don't know. Seo Yul strolled with Jang Yuke, but Seo Yul's mind was still thinking about Mudiak to the point that he kept casually cosplaying as Zoro. In the distance, people were packing things for the upcoming Jang Jin wedding, when suddenly a birdcage fell and a bird escaped. Seo Yul heard the music calling the bird, and followed it to find Mudiak, the person he secretly admired, playing the flute in this place, reminiscing about recent memories. Seo Yul confirmed that Mudiak was probably his Naxu from years ago. Mudiak played the flute to relieve some frustration and then left, immediately encountering the long-haired guy who came over and said that he knew she was Naxu. Mudiak safely found Jang Yuke, but led him to another place under the threat of the long-haired guy. When they arrived at the beach, Mudiak said her goodbyes from here, because from now on they might have to part ways since her identity as Naxu had been exposed. Scene change: Park Jin confronts Jin Mu, seeking answers about Naxu's father. Simultaneously, royal physician is telling Si Yul the story from 20 years ago. Naxu's father went berserk due to the soul-shifting spell, slaughtering his entire family. The four families intervened, leading to Naxu being seduced by dark forces and becoming an assassin. In the astrology study, Jin Mu speaks about the star chart engraved on stone on the day Jang Yuke was born, done by Naxu's father, which was then stolen and later recovered by him. He also knows Jang Yuke was born on the day the king's star appeared, and subtly hints that Naxu's father couldn't have performed soul shifting on his own. At the deserted temple, the long-haired man recalls his conversation with Mudiak. He promised to keep her secret about being Naxu, in exchange for her bringing Jang Yuke there so he could perform forbidden soul shifting. However, only Mudiak arrives, feeling like she tricked him, and immediately attacks. Mudiak displays some decent martial arts skills, but she's still no match for him. At the beach, they discuss a strategy, and to win this one-sided fight, they need divine intervention rain. And indeed, it rains. True enough. Jang Yuke steps back to release the Phoenix Energy Seal, channeling Kai from his sword into a force to propel raindrops. Jang Yuke twirls like an artist, swinging his hand to unleash a sword-like aura, lightly shooting a raindrop directly at the long-haired man. But it doesn't stop there. The long-haired man struggles to his feet, crushes a vial containing soul ejector incense, and throws it into the water. The forbidden soul-shifting spell is activated, pulling Jang Yuke and the long-haired man into an underwater dimension with two streams of black smoke. A giant, ominous red and black cloud appears in the sky. The royal physician doesn't need to guess. He immediately recognizes it as the result of forbidden soul shifting. Jang Yuke is sinking in a different dimension, surrounded by water energy. Jang Yuke, the long-haired man, is trying to seize his body when a hand pulls Jang Yuke back unexpectedly. It's the spirit of Mudiak. This means that Mudiak's soul hasn't vanished, but exists parallel to Naxu's soul within the same body. And Naxu had even dreamed of Mudiak's spirit existing within the body she's borrowing. This proves that Mudiak has a large amount of mana to be able to sustain in such way. Jang Yuke awakens and immediately checks to see if there's a soul-shifting mark. Meanwhile, Mudiak is heartbroken, thinking Jang Uk's soul has been swapped into another body. A wilting flower, that ghastly face she wildly slashes at her Seo family property. Then Jang Yuke utters the phrase that only the two of them know. No one is allowed to see you at this distance. Hearing that, Mudiak bursts into tears and embraces Jang Yuke. The long-haired man suddenly lunges to attack, but Jang Yuke retaliates skillfully. Not because of the Soul Chaser incense, but because the Kai in Jang Uk's hand has been circulated. The long-haired man becomes crazed and manic. In this moment, he reveals the truth to Naxu. Her father was also a soul shifter. Naxu is stunned, disbelieving what she's just heard. He says it wasn't the 4 great mages who killed him, but Naxu's father went berserk and killed everyone. But the one behind those deeds remains a mystery. Someone who could help him avoid petrification because they possess the ice stone. Finishing his sentence, he lunges and presses hard on Mudiak's shoulder. Jang Yuke rushes forward and knocks him away. The long-haired old man immediately fled. Mudiak shouted for Jang Yuke to chase after him and not let him escape. But by the time he reached the middle of the bamboo forest, Jang Yuke had lost track of him. Mudiak, waiting in pain, was joined by Dangu and Seo Yul along with a group from Songram. Park Jin's confidante found Jang Uk's PH letter 1 Bo letter 1 EDBC Lin charm, fearing something terrible had happened. They all split up to search. Mudiak was lucky enough to avoid being caught by Dangu. Leaning against a bamboo stalk, she was heartbroken, thinking of her father from years ago, and how both father and daughter were probably pawns of Jinmu. Just then, the demon dog and Seo Yul found Mudiak. She panicked and ran. Seo Yul, seeing a figure, unleashed a sword strike, causing Mudiak to fall flat on her face. Only when he realized it was Mudiak did Seo Yul realize he had gone too far. Back in the city, the long-haired man planned to absorb the young energy of the local people, but due to the crowd, he sought out a more secluded place to act. He went to a courtesan house, unaware that Jang Yuke was following his trail of lewd intent. While chasing him, Jang Yuke was confronted by 2 strangers who accused him of being caught in the act. It turned out they thought Jang Yuke was secretly following a beautiful young lady. But the cool guy, "You've got the wrong girl, babe." Overcome with embarrassment, the beautiful young lady could only apologize. Afterwards, she remained lost in thought, longing for him. The maid told her to change her clothes because they were soaked. But behind her, the long-haired man was lurking, waiting for his chance. Just as she took off her outer garment, the long-haired man entered. He was about to attack her when Jang Yuke appeared and rescued her in time. Jang Uk's strength had been bigly updated, you know? So Jian was being ambiguous and unclear, so the long-haired man blasted Jang Yuke, sending him flying, and quickly fled. Jang Yuke gave his coat to the young lady and said, "If you're injured, go to the Songram clinic." With that, he left, prompting her to introduce herself as Jun Oke. In the lonely and cold space of a secluded place, Si-yun beside Mudiak recognized the soul of Naxu within the girl, having recognized it from the first time they met. He felt sorry for his past crush. He channeled his energy, helping Mudiak to get out of there. We see the long-haired man falling from the roof. When the people discovered he was a soul shifter, he used a cloth to transform himself into a curvaceous Middle Eastern girl and ran away. Jang Yuke observed from afar, remembering his words about the ice stone that could prevent rampages. He decided to retrieve it to cure Mudiak at Songram. Park Jin reported back on the situation at the abandoned temple. The old herbalist feared Jang Yuke had been afflicted by a soul-shifting spell, but Sorcerer Lee said it would be difficult, because Mudiak's fire was by his side. Just as Jang Yuke was about to fall under the spell, Mudiak embraced him tightly. The immense water energy hidden within her prevented the long-haired sorcerer's soul-shifting technique from being completed. Sorcerer Lee was the one who had foreseen this since their meeting at his house. But where's Park Jin? Over here, he's intensely stressed, grilling the nanny about whether Jang Gang used soul-shifting. Finally, she relented, saying, "The mistress used to worry about the master getting deeply involved in dark magic, but it only lasted for a short time. especially after the mistress became pregnant. This made Park Jin recall the time by the lake when Jang Gang said the child was the king's son. But the king at that time had already passed his prime, his vitality was weak, so how could he have a child? Now he understood the hidden truth of all those years. Elsewhere, a servant brought news that Dang Gu had come looking for his father. Apparently, Dang Gu had relayed that Jang Yuke had been afflicted by a soul-shifting spell, leaving the two men wide-eyed and stunned. Jang Yuke followed the long-haired sorcerer all the way to the royal palace gates. When exposed, Jang Yuke went berserk. The sorcerer was immediately pursued by the royal guards, but they were no match for him. They were just lining up to give their lives. While trying to absorb vital energy, Jang Yuke flew out and ruined the guy's meal. The young man quickly wrapped cloth around his face, transforming into a rogue. Jang Yuke beat the sorcerer to a pulp, his power erupting to the point where the sorcerer seemed barely able to hold on and wave his hands in defense. The clock struck endgame. Jang Yuke stomped into a puddle, the water splashing up, then launched his sword, creating water bullet shrapnel at the long-haired villain. Then, he quickly left the scene. The next morning, Hon Han's body was brought back to Chunbugwan. A low-ranking soldier informed Jin Mu that a mysterious sorcerer had finished off the long-haired man using Naksu's legendary water pellet technique. The nanny and Jang Gu arrived, breathing a sigh of relief that the corpse wasn't Jang Uk's. News of the long-haired man's death reached the king's ears. The queen consort looked uneasy upon hearing that a sorcerer had used the water pellet technique to send him to the Western Paradise. So, who could it be? Naksu, of course. How lucky we are, they chattered excitedly. And they even had to flaunt that it was Naksu, like they're living under her floorboards. It could even be Naksu's soul shifter. The rumor spread to the Jising house and then to Chunbugwan, the drama causing a stir all over social media. Jang Gu, who had been gossiping around, recounted all the rumors to everyone there. Park Do-jin was very unhappy about the false rumors, so he told Jang Gu to publish a post to clear the air immediately. The nanny looked tired. Park Do-jin expressed concern, but he was also hesitant because there was a third person present. The royal physician clearly looked bored and didn't want to say anything. So, it was ambiguous and unresolved. When they went outside, Park Do-jin finally revealed his bad boy side to Jang Uk's nanny. If you're still so worried, hit me. Hit me right here in the heart. Get your notebooks out. Single guys, take notes. Mr. Park continued to flirtatiously imply that he would never lay a hand on a woman because they were meant to be cherished and cared for. Judging by the nanny's face, she clearly liked it. She was blushing. In the bamboo forest, Seo Yun returned the bracelet to Jang Yuke. They almost lost the Jin family heirloom. Hunting Seo Yun all night left him with a headache and a sore back. I didn't expect you to control your arm after just one night, Seo Yun said. Last night, he found Mu Diok injured in the bamboo forest, having lost a lot of blood, and running to the abandoned temple. Jang Yuke saw that Mu Diok was safe and sound. She winked, signaling Jang Yuke to play along with her act. Jang Yuke, terrified by the dark magic, ran away, abandoning her. She was almost killed by a soul shifter. He was scared witless. Thanks to the excellent script, but not so excellent acting, Seo Yun saw through it. In the bamboo forest, Seo Yun told Mu Diok that every time she helped Jang Yuke face death, she got what she wanted, and she was always there. If I annoy you, just ignore me. Don't bother saving me, Seo Yun pleaded. Seo Yun needs him. Witches are definitely like that. This girl likes to act cute, but is always getting picked on. At the same time, in the market, Miss Jin asked why Jang Gu had taken her wedding items. Heaven knows where they all went. Jang Gu said he was keeping them safe and would bring them over when the wedding came. But she said there wouldn't be a wedding. Jang Gu told her not to be shy. This wedding was going to be a secret, so no one would know. Then two friends came along and asked if she was getting married. Cho Yon's face was blank. She looked at them with vacant eyes and a meaningless smile. Then the two girls turned to congratulate Jang Gu for getting to marry Miss Jin. They thought he was the one sweet-talking her, flattering her, and even taking home the wedding items. Jang Gu immediately stepped up and said that was right. They didn't want to make it public yet, so they asked the two of them to keep it a secret. After they left, Cho Yon scolded him for fooling them. Then the hopelessly lovesick guy said, It's better to let them think you're marrying Jang Gu than to let them know you've been dumped by Jang UK twice. Oh, how pitiful in this one-sided love. At the lake, Jang UK revealed that he knew the true leader of the group was in the palace. That person possessed the ice stone that could prevent Mu Deok from ever going berserk. But who was it? Who? None other than the queen. She harbored a deep hatred for Songram and was plotting to overthrow it and take over the entire nation of Diho. However, first, they had to find the one who used the water projectile magic, because he knew where the ice stone was located. Back at the lake, Jang UK vowed to do everything he could to win the duel against the Crown Prince, regardless of the danger to his life. Simultaneously, at Songram, Park Do-jin declared that if Jang UK truly appeared, he wouldn't interfere or offer assistance, because if Jang UK lost his life, it would be considered not paying his subscription fee, just Jang Uk's fate to bear. On the day of the duel, high-ranking officials, along with the royal family, the Crown Prince, the King, and the Queen Consort were all present. Park Do-jin announced that this was a life-or-death battle. If either participant died, there would be no prosecution. Jin-moo quickly reminded him to announce one more thing. Park Do-jin continued, saying that if Jang UK didn't appear, he would be declared the loser, and his right to inherit the position of Chief of Chunbugwan would be revoked. Jin-moo glanced around, wondering what the water jars were doing there, when his subordinates said they were for holding water. As noon struck, Park Do-jin ordered 2 disciples to close the gates, but Jang UK suddenly appeared. He, along with his master Naksu in Mu Deok's body, confidently entered. "Coach, I ain't afraid of no one." Everyone was worried, but Jang UK was full of confidence. He signed his name, stamped his seal, and began the life-or-death battle. Lady Cho-yeon told her mother to use the token to stop the fight, but her mother remained cold as ice and said nothing. "The engagement is broken. If he dies, it's no longer our family's concern." Park Do-jin shouted, "Begin," immediately. Both drew their swords and lunged at each other, exchanging a flurry of blows. The clang of the swords was deafening. Surprisingly, Jang UK possessed incredible agility. Mu Deok had previously instructed Jang UK to focus on defense, wait for an opening, and then use a combo. Heeding his master's words, Jang UK mostly parried the Crown Prince's attacks. Mu Deok looked up at the platform and remembered that she had asked Sorcerer Lee to prepare water jars for Jang UK to use water projectile magic, since Jang UK couldn't create water himself yet. But they were all smashed. It was that difficult and unpleasant Jin-moo who had done it. Now there was only one way: use a drop of blood. Below, Jang UK was hit by a sword strike and sent flying. Mu Deok called out his name and threw her drop of blood down. Jang UK immediately soared up, swung his sword, and struck the drop of blood, turning it into a red projectile that sent the Crown Prince flying, dropping his sword. Everyone was stunned. Park Do-jin said, "Game over. Jang UK is the victor," Jin-moo protested. Jang UK only recently opened his energy gate. There's no way he could quickly master the art of water manipulation to that degree. He harshly asked, "Who is your master?" Jang UK was flustered, unsure of what to say. "That would be me." All eyes turned to the door where Sorcerer Lee entered. Jin-moo asked, "Who are you to enter here without permission?" Before Lee could answer, the royal physician recited Lee's impressive resume, highlighting his extraordinary qualifications for Jin-moo to hear. Jin-moo's face stiffened. Park Do-jin asked, "Do you have any further objections?" Jin-moo shut his mouth immediately. So the match was decided without anyone losing their life. Everyone rejoiced, except for Master Lee at the top. The Queen, with a knowing look, instructed Jin-moo to take Jang UK into Chunbugwan. Old Jin-moo immediately did a complete 180, faster than flipping a pancake, and eagerly invited Jang UK. The healer said, "It's only right he goes with him. After all, I'm the one who opened his meridians and gave him mana." Madam Jin, though previously putting on a fierce front, also weakly called out, "Come to my Jin household." It's not like there wasn't a previous engagement, so joining the Jin household would be perfectly legitimate. Park Do-jin said if Jang UK wanted to join Songram, he'd accept him as his disciple. That's why I say life is a sine wave. Just yesterday he was being criticized for being weak and pathetic, and now that he's thriving, everyone wants to be his mentor. Jang Yuke asked Mu Deok. Where should I go? Mu Deok said. Go to Park Do-jin. And so, Jang Yuke officially gained his second master. 20 years ago, Jin Mu kidnapped the eldest daughter of the Jin household, Mu Deok, along with the ice stone that was sealed by Jang Gang. Mu Deok harbored an incredibly strong water energy, enough to break the seal Jang Gang placed on the ice stone. Once he had the stone in his hands, Mu Deok disappeared as well. Back in the present, Jin Mu and the Queen were fully aware of Jang Luk's identity. All of Jang Gang's efforts went down the drain because he trusted the wrong person. But why would Jang Gang do that? With that identity and the ice stone, Jang Gang would have been virtually untouchable, the sole ruler of heaven and earth. Jin Mu then revealed his mistake. Jang Gang caused Naksu's father to die in bitter resentment. That's why he sealed everything away and left the capital to live in seclusion. So Jang Gang killed the old man with the long hair? Jin Mu said. No, it could have been the old teacher named Lee. He's truly cunning and devious, suggesting finding a replacement to impersonate the Jin family's eldest daughter in order to seize control of the entire Jin household. Back at Songram, Jang Yuke officially went through the initiation ceremony. He received his uniform, his spirit tablet was returned, along with Songram's regulations. Park Do-jin formally announced Jang Yuke as a new student of the academy. Everyone was thrilled, and in celebration, the nanny said they'd throw a party at the courtesan house tonight. No one gets to go home sober. Outside, the healer commented how quickly Jang Yuke had become a member of Songram. Park Do-jin also seemed relieved. The healer offered Park Do-jin a medicinal herb to prevent hangovers. Park Do-jin said he never got drunk. Come on, you're gonna shorten your lifespan. You're getting salt and pepper hair. Is that from your trip to 30 Shine where they just lightened the ends of your hair? You're acting too young. The trio intended to go drinking, but then secretly took the pill and left. Jang Yuke returned to the manor with the nanny, knelt to pay respects to the ancestors, and informed his late mother that he had fulfilled his wish. Mu Deok entered. How fast? Just the other day, Jang Yuke said he'd take her as his master, but there was still no result. After facing life and death so many times, diligent training, coupled with rare talent, Jang Yuke had achieved what even the crown prince hadn't, overcoming his own ego. Putting on the uniform, Jang Yuke asked, "How does it look?" Mu Deok thought he looked super cool. As he left, Mu Deok told Jang Yuke to drink this pill to prevent him from getting drunk. Seeing Jang Yuke break it in half, the nanny thought he was caring for her. But it turned out he cared for the other person more. Take that, nanny. Sulking, she didn't want it anymore. Who knew that someone once loved so much could become a stranger? An enigmatic woman, bearing a striking resemblance to Mu Deok, was aboard the ship. Her blindness stirred a profound sense of pity among the passengers, but appearances can be deceiving. Upon reaching port, travelers were shocked to find their belongings missing. Turns out, this woman was feigning blindness to work as a master thief, and she carried bandages bearing the mark of the Jin family. At the pleasure house, people gathered to carouse and indulge. Even back then, with such great music, they'd be raising their hands in the air. All it needed was a DJ, and it would have been the hottest club in Diho. While the young revelers clinked glasses and shared intimate moments, the sad boy Seo Yun sought solace in a secluded spot, nursing his unwavering, heavy-hearted longing for Mu Deok. In the VIP room, the intoxicated physician, slurring his words, bitterly lamented that if it weren't for Jang Gang, his granddaughter, who is Jang Luk's mother, would still be alive. Park Do-jin countered that he was the one the old man wanted to marry his granddaughter to. All for naught, of course, as the head maid barged in, acting as if she knew everything. All it took was 3 words, "Star of the Lake," and the woman had waited so long her butt was worn out waiting for Park Do-jin to speak those words. Park Do-jin grumbled. What needs to be said? A mere glance should suffice. The head maid retorted. Are you expecting me to understand through pure faith? You glance for a while, get bored, and then act aloof. Who has the time to sit around trying to decipher your intentions? A clearly annoyed Park Do-jin snapped. If someone's of 2 minds, I don't need them. If you want to go elsewhere, feel free. I don't need you. Okay then, I don't need you. It's over. She then drained her glass and stormed off. Hey, where are you going? Somewhere else. With that, the head maid left. Park Do-jin hastily followed after her, calling out. Outside, Sorcerer Lee requested that Park Do-jin's trusted aide fetch some food for him to take home. Standing alone, he mused that strong liquor and beautiful women are mere products of the 7 emotions and 6 desires, things he has no connection with. And yet, in less than a hot second, he managed to rescue the head maid from falling into the pond. He then froze, captivated by the head maid's beauty, acting coy before giving in to the temptations of earthly desires. Helping her retrieve her shoe, he wondered why they were so intertwined. Perhaps it was the red string of fate, tied by the old man of the moon. The head maid's gentle nip sent Sorcerer Lee into a dizzying high, like he had just smoked a massive blunt. Even at 100 years old, his composure in front of women was still lacking. Approaching in such a suggestive manner, yet he didn't dare ask for her number. At Songram, it turned out that the young lady Jin Ok was the physician's granddaughter. Her handmaiden mentioned that she had been invited to meet her prospective husband. Apparently, Jang Gu and Seo Yun were the leading candidates, with the crown prince as a backup option. But Jin Ok paid no attention, as her heart already belonged to Jang Uk. Indeed, of all the raindrops falling, none were accidental. Why meet if it only leads to longing, yearning, and unrequited love? Back at the pleasure house, the physician claimed that Jang Uk's success was due to him, so he demanded that Jang Uk promise him something. Jang Uk agreed. With that, the physician had 3 desirable candidates in mind. It was also here that Jang Uk and Park Do-jin began to diverge in their views on sorcerers using dark arts. Jang Uk believed that whether the magic was righteous or evil, it could kill or save lives. What truly mattered was the intent of the person wielding the skill. Park Do-jin's aide interrupted the conversation, announcing that the crown prince had come to see Jang Uk. The meeting was quite tense. The crown prince said that even though he lost, he was glad that Diho had discovered an outstanding talent. Therefore, he wanted to invite Jang Uk for a celebratory drink. Jang Uk drank it without hesitation, not caring if it was poisoned or not. He immediately ladled out a cup, invited the crown prince, and wished him a great and wise reign. He also didn't hesitate to drink in return. Mu Deok rushed in and stirred things up to ease the tension. At the same time, Master Jin returned with a girl who looked identical to his missing eldest daughter. Lady Jin eagerly tried to have her open the secret chamber, but nothing happened. She then left. In the eldest daughter's room, Lady Jin recalled how, as a child, her daughter couldn't see light but could sense the presence of water energy all around. Because of this, she desperately tried to find her missing daughter, even if it was like finding a needle in a haystack. Her husband came in to comfort her, and she accused him of only pretending to look, not genuinely searching for their daughter. He said he would try harder, but she said it wasn't necessary. Jin Mu would take care of it. But he was the one she hated. It didn't matter. Her daughter's return was the priority. Back at the Jibang, So I, the girl who had pretended to be blind, demanded to enter but was refused. She started rambling about being a sorceress and threatened to show them what it was like to be slapped. Then, she stormed off. She glanced through the fence and plotted to meet Mu Deok and return her eye patch. That way, she could mooch off that naive clown. Inside, she saw the crown prince talking to Mu Deok. He said, "I'm willing to overlook everything for your young master's sake, just because of you. So, if anyone interferes between us, I'll kill them, got it?" Mu Deok, knowing she was beautiful, flattered him, saying she wouldn't mind dying by the crown prince's sword. Annoyed, he turned to leave, but Mu Deok called out, "What is it? How's your injury?" The crown prince was slightly moved and said he had been treated by the physician and was fine. "Oh, and the pouch I gave you, did you hang it in the toilet?" "Of course not. I always carry it with me." "Good, I'm going now." The crown prince grinned, thinking this must be love. As the party ended, everyone returned to Songram. Jang Uk was completely drunk and was carried in by a servant, which was when they encountered the separated master and disciple. Park Do-jin's aide said that from now on, Jang Uk would have his own personal attendant, so Mu Deok was no longer needed inside. Mu Deok insisted on going in, but it was too late. Who knows how Jang Uk will act when he wakes up tomorrow? Let's wait and see. At the medical clinic, the physician was overjoyed to see the little girl he knew had grown into a young woman. Before he could ask any questions, a servant rushed in to report that Jang Yuke was experiencing chaotic energy flow due to his drunkenness and needed immediate treatment. He hurried off. At the clinic, Jin Ok cautiously entered and recognized the man who had saved her. The physician proudly announced that this was the person he had opened the energy gate for, and he had even given her an extra 10 years of energy, so she had reached the water stream level in just 1 month, the 3rd level in the 5 stages of water energy advancement. Jin Ok was very impressed. Seeing Jang Yuke struggling to sleep, she, a noble lady, started massaging him. The physician, with his long years of experience, immediately sensed the young woman's feelings and happily chuckled as he left. While the young master was lying in a warm, comfortable bed, Mu Deok was sitting on a stone, waiting in the heavy rain. At the same time, Jang Yuke groggily woke up and called out Mu Deok so many times that heads were spinning like a Nobita spinning top. Then, he carelessly leaned his head on the person next to him without even noticing it was Jin Ok. And Mu Deok was crying alone outside in the cold, rainy night. An umbrella shielded her, held by none other than Seo Yun. He persuaded her to go back to avoid affecting Jang Yuke. Mu Deok asked him to tell Jang Yuke that she would re-enter Songram at any cost, so he should wait patiently for her. Seo Yun nodded, placed the umbrella in Mu Deok's hand so she could go home, and left the simp lord alone and lonely in the cold rain. The next morning, Jang Yuke woke up to the realization that the person beside him all night had been Jin Ok, not Mu Deok. He was in trouble. If he let her tell the story, he'd be done for. At the pavilion, she'd said she'd met Jang Yuke with the physician, Park Do-jin, and the nanny. After learning that Jin Ok also came from the place where she and Jang Uk's mother were born, the nanny immediately complimented that people from their hometown were all beautiful and refined. Then Park Do-jin said that the nanny was great in every way except she had a tendency to make a mountain out of a molehill, jump to illogical conclusions, and make wild assumptions. He thought that if the two of them sat next to each other, it would be an opening for them to start arguing loudly. Jin Ok asked the elder what their relationship was, and he said they were in a relationship where we're more than friends, but less than lovers, and the vagueness was hard to discern. After they finished arguing, the physician asked her how she had met Jang Yuke. She was embarrassed and about to answer when Jang Yuke appeared, saying they had something private to discuss, and pulled Jin Ok away, surprising the adults. While the nanny and the physician were gleefully speculating, Park Do-jin suggested they just sneak a peek to find out, and he was immediately scolded. "Are you crazy?" They were curious too. For goodness sake, they were such fools. Park Do-jin was scolded like that, but still looked blank, not understanding why he was being scolded. That's how it is, being too sincere isn't always good. In a secluded place, Jang Yuke asked her if she had revealed anything about how they met. Jin Ok, looking ashamed, recalled Jang Yuke saying that he wasn't interested in appearances and that was why he was following her, which made her tear up with shame when she thought Jang Yuke was saying that. "I wasn't talking about the soul shifter, was I? Is that so?" Jang Yuke asked her to keep it a secret for him. Jin Ok agreed. Jang Yuke also thanked her for staying up all night to take care of him. They both bowed in gratitude. Jin Ok was saying that there was a hangover soup, but when she looked up, the cold-hearted boy was already 100 meters away. That's why every love is beautiful, but only unrequited love feels so weird. Jang Yuke went to find Mu Deok, but was informed that outside servants were not allowed inside. Those were the rules, so he had to accept it. Jang Yuke immediately went to see Park Do-jin to demand that Mu Deok be granted a special exception to serve him. Park Do-jin then asked him where he learned the water projectile technique, and how he had reached the flowing water level in such a short time. He wondered if it was through that slave girl that he was able to meet the person who taught him, or whether it was as rumored that Jang Gang had taught him. Jang Yuke gave a bitter laugh and said that all rumors, it wasn't his son, so don't let more rumors spread about this issue. Park Do-jin said that if you want to sit in a position that no one can sit in, you have to withstand pressure that no one can withstand. But Jang Yuke was only concerned about Mu Deok's status. To prevent her from being discovered as a soul shifter, he would agree to follow the rules. Seeing Jang Yuke quickly change his attitude, Park Do-jin began to have suspicions. At the brothel, Mu Deok begged the madam to find and buy her a spirit plaque from Songram. Someone already died because of that, Mu Diok lamented, but she still wanted to go in to take care of Jang Yuk. The madam said that Jang Yuk had his own servants in there, who would provide him with everything he needed, so Mu Diok didn't need to be so persistent. At Songram, Park Do-jin's trusted servant gave Jang Yuk a blank book for Jang Yuk to learn the basics of knowledge. After handing it over, as he was leaving, the nanny came in, putting on a cute face. She pressed him to find out if there was anything going on between him and Miss Jin Ok. But Jang Yuk said nothing important. He switched to asking about Mu Diok. The nanny said Mu Diok would be living comfortably in the near future, at least because the girl had devoted herself to serving him all this time. If Mu Diok doesn't have to serve Jang Yuk, she'll be even healthier. Hearing that, Jang Yuk looked slightly sad. Mu Diok had just left the brothel when the madam ran after her and slipped her a Songram courtesan recruitment flyer. Mu Diok initially refused but then snatched it and walked away. At Jin's manor, Mu Diok encountered the nanny. Asking after him, she learned that the young master was doing very well. So, the young master isn't calling for me? The nanny said Jang Yuk wanted her to stay there, living in comfort. Mu Diok felt saddened by this. Suddenly, the nanny added that Jang Yuk now had someone special in his life, someone he'd known for quite some time, not just someone he'd recently met. Apparently, Jang Yuk had said that this was a girl he needed to cherish, like a fragile egg perched precariously on a lone branch. This made Mu Diok remember the gift Jang Yuk had given her. 2 bird eggs made from the broken yin-yang jade of the Jin family. She thought to herself, so all this time, my disciple has held me in his heart. Back at Jin's manor, the nanny instructed the servants to clean up the young master's room thoroughly, as there might be a happy occasion soon. But Chief Jang Yuk has turned down marriage proposals twice now. Who would dare marry him? Oh, there's someone. I'm sure she's in Songram. If it's Miss Jin Ok, all the better. Little did the nanny know that the bird egg Jang Yuk was cherishing was our very own Mu Diok. She was very conflicted by this situation. Though she cherished her disciple's feelings for her, she was bound by her vow that once everything was done, she would fly away like a fledgling, leaving behind a broken eggshell. In Songram, Jang Yuk handed in a copy of everything he'd been assigned. He said that having gone through 12 masters, this stuff was easy as pie. I'm done, so I'll take my leave and go home to relax. Hold on, Park Do-jin called out, stopping him. If you're so exceptional, then finish this cake, and then I'll let you roam free. Jang Gu signaled for him not to accept, but Jang Yuk didn't pay attention. He was confident he could complete this challenge quickly. What was it? A volume of thoughts that had no writing on it. Park Do-jin's confidante said there was writing. He needed to read it with his heart. It was a book left behind by the late master. Oh man, dead wood. Park Do-jin didn't actually want to train Jang Yuk. He was simply trying to stall him for as long as possible. The events of recent days would surely alert Jang Gang. He would return, inevitably. And then he could take down the treacherous Jin Mu, and finally get answers about all the secrets. Outside, Jin Ok and her maid brought snacks for Jang Yuk. Even though the maid kept making sarcastic remarks, Jin Ok still said Jang Yuk was a good person. Well, good enough. So, after countless attempts, Jang Yuk decided to burn the book. A good idea, but unfortunately, it didn't work. Jang Yuk tried scribbling ink on it, but it quickly faded away. Oh, geez, this cake is too hard to swallow. When all else fails, runaway seemed to be the best plan. Before Jang Yuk could jump out of the building, Jin Ok walked in. He muttered a few words and ran off. Jin Ok heard someone coming and quickly closed the door and then ran out to stop Park Do-jin's confidante from entering, saying that she and Jang Yuk were going to chat, so not to disturb them. At Jin's manor, Seo Yun came looking for Mu Diok. Seeing that Mu Diok wasn't paying attention to him, he made an excuse to take his umbrella, because all he could see in his head now was cloudiness. But it's lost. Then I'll compensate you with another. At the market, Seo Yun mentioned again how he got hurt once and now his leg aches whenever it rains. Mu Diok inadvertently asked, "Has your leg not fully healed?" Seo Yun realized that Mu Diok had overheard that Jang Gu had told her. Seo Yun then hinted that due to a friend leaving without saying goodbye properly, the wound hadn't healed. It was a wound in his heart. Meanwhile, Jang Yuke was waiting for her to return. He took the opportunity to sneak a few cookies to eat as a snack out of boredom. In the city, Jang Gu and Miss Jin were planning their breakup to quell the rumors that they would get married. Jang Gu said he would pretend to beg her to stay, and she could just slap him really hard. But she said that didn't need to be so over the top. She just needed to look strong-willed so people would believe it. But if we break off the engagement, I have to stay home for a month, and I can't go see the magic show. Jang Gu immediately used 100% of his brainpower. Maybe we can postpone the breakup for a few days. Miss Cho Yon's face showed that she liked that idea. Back at the market, so I was getting antsy, her fingers itching for action, when two people from the same boat trip recognized her. She immediately bolted. Unexpectedly, another group was also after her. She managed to escape the scams and cons, only to run into such bad luck. She wondered if they would ask her about the money first. So I feigned ignorance and started shouting for help. "Help me! Help me!" Park Do-jin appeared, freezing Seo Yun in her tracks for a full 5 seconds. Her attention collided with his gaze. The young man easily took down the thugs, who immediately fled. So I continued to play blind and was given a newly bought umbrella by Seo Yun to feel her way around. Afterwards, she was still hung up on that 1 to 9, 1 to 10 inches charm of that cutie when she was knocked unconscious and dragged away. At the same time, Moo Deok had already registered and received contestant number 125. Only 5 people were being selected, so the competition was incredibly fierce, even tougher than getting into Biqua. Hearing the family servant say Jang Yuke was looking for her, Moo Deok ran off. Jang Yuke waited for Moo Deok to return, but he eventually gave up and left, still feeling uneasy. It was getting late, why hadn't she? "I have to go back, or I'm toast." Moo Deok returned to find Jang Yuke gone. She rushed off again. Reaching the market watchtower, she spotted Jang Yuke on a boat. She chased after him to tell him to wait for her, because she had a way to get inside. Moo Deok rolled up the recruitment flyer into a small rock and threw it to Jang Yuke for him to see. When he arrived back at Kemen, the Crown Prince saw Jang Yuke walking towards him. He asked, "Jang Yuke, aren't you supposed to be reading love letters?" "Playing hooky?" Jang Yuke replied. "Did you miss me already?" the Crown Prince said. "I just heard the royal physician mention it." "Oh, haven't you recovered yet?" I was gentle. "It's okay, I'm perfectly fine." As Jang Yuke was about to leave, he asked, "What were you hiding just now? Show me." Jang Yuke produced a piece of paper wrapped around a cookie. That's when he realized Jang Yuke had snuck back home. It would be a big problem if people found out. He told the Crown Prince it was a magnificent design, one that women would love, so he wouldn't tell on him. "Besides, I already offered you a cookie." The Crown Prince waved his hand, telling Jang Yuke to avoid the large pine tree because there were sorcerers practicing there. Jang Yuke thanked him and left. The Crown Prince couldn't understand why he was being so nice, but that cookie was really good. In the tunnel leading to the secret chamber, Jin Moo and the Queen were filming in slow motion. The neighborhood security guard was cutting things abruptly. The Queen was unhappy that the Crown Prince had become close to the Songram group after what happened. Jin Moo guessed that His Majesty might be trying to win over Songram before ascending the throne. However, everything would soon change if he knew Jang Uk's true identity. The treacherous Jin Moo hinted that there was something in the jar that would help overthrow Jin Lady. The day they seize that family isn't far off, and so I is one of the links in this conspiracy. "What's taking so long?" Park Do-jin's confidant checked, but the maid stopped him. He insisted on seeing what was going on. Jin Ok was still anxious about what would happen if she was discovered. Then the main character Aura caused Jang Yuke to return just as the guy was entering. Jin Ok conveniently thanked him for the conversation and bowed as she left. Jang Yuke couldn't believe she had patiently waited for him to return for 4 hours. Knowing that Moo Deok intended to go to Songram as a servant, Nanny was absolutely thrilled. Only she truly understood her young master. So, Nanny went to see that short-haired aunt and begged her to grant Moo Deok special permission for free access. But the aunt refused. Nanny then bribed her with a high-end silk scarf she'd just snagged on sale. Then, boom, it was lying on Park Do-jin's desk. He scolded Nanny for resorting to bribery. Nanny said, "It's just a small gift." Park Do-jin slammed his fist on the desk, making a loud thump, and pretended that if she continued to do such things, their friendship would suffer. Fine, whatever. Nanny, being quite the know-it-all, lectured Park Do-jin with a whole string of moral principles, causing him to deflate like a poor, pitiful puppy. That's what happens when you mess with someone she cares about. As she stood up to leave, Park Do-jin called her back. He stammered, "You forgot your scarf." She took it, but why was he still holding on to it? Now he probably wanted to take back all those high and mighty words from earlier. But Nanny had already vanished. Over at Jang Uk's place, the sorcerer Lee appeared, saying that reading it would take over a year. But if he followed him, it would only take half that time. Jang Uk refused. The sorcerer Lee added a poem written by his master as a gift for his blind lover. Though it was a love letter, no one understood it as such. Before leaving, he asked Jang Uk, "How does the love letter begin?" Jang Uk couldn't understand why anyone would be so perverse as to force others to read their love letters. When he went outside, the sorcerer Lee suddenly bumped into Nanny. The centenarian teacher transformed into a bashful boy before her drop-dead gorgeous looks. "Oh, are you planning to do something?" "Oh, no, just wanted to see what your clothes are like. It's getting cold, and your clothes are so flimsy. How about throwing this over yourself?" The sorcerer Lee froze, taken aback by the woman's enthusiasm. Wow, it suits him? With Nanny's keen eye, if she lived in this era, she'd probably be shoulder to shoulder with designer Tai Kong. The sorcerer Lee didn't seem to care much about Nanny's fashion sense. He looked like he was tripping on something. The entrance exam had begun. The short-haired ant was calling out names while Seo Yun was closely monitoring the exam's progress with the help of the physician. The Crown Prince also knew that Mu Deok was taking the Songram entrance exam. While the proctor was handing out the tests, the short-haired ant shouted so loud she sprayed saliva everywhere. Immediately, the test was leaked. The three of them met and sat down at a table to find the answers. Indeed, one tree doesn't make a forest, but three trees together form a mountain. They quickly finished all the questions. Now, how to get them to Mu Deok? They both looked at the Crown Prince. Mu Deok was trying to cram knowledge before the impossibly difficult questions when the Crown Prince appeared. He told everyone to continue, then, pretending to inspect the room, casually dropped the completed test for Mu Deok. When the results were read, Mu Deok passed. The Crown Prince is the best, that's for sure. 40 people passed the first round. Now comes the second round, a cooking, cleaning, laundry, and physical fitness test. Being an assassin with superb martial arts, these trivial tasks were nothing to her. Cooking was a hit, cleaning was perfect, and laundry was unbelievably perfect. The final round is patching a jar and getting water from a spot 5 lie away from the exam location. The first 5 to return will graduate. Go Mu Deok, go! Meanwhile, Jang Uk was still focused on deciphering the love letter. Park Do-jin walked in and told Jang Uk not to rush, just take it easy, bro. Jang Uk asked about the blind woman by his side. Park Do-jin replied that 200 years ago, the director of the Jin family was the aide of that person. That person's eyes could not see. Recalling the sorcerer Lee's suggestion, Jang Uk immediately ran out and asked the name of that female director. Her name means a blue orchid blooming in the white snow. Unexpectedly, it worked. The letters in the love letter started to appear clearly, one by one. While Mu Deok was pouring her heart and soul into finishing the exam, Jang Uk was equally focused on transcribing a poem. Each verse seemed to perfectly capture the feelings he had for Mu Deok, a love that was blossoming within him. Once he finished writing, Jang Uk handed the poem to Park Do-jin's confidant and quickly left. Meanwhile, Mu Deok was still struggling to complete the exam as the sun began to set. 4 people had already made it, leaving only 1 spot left. But Mu Deok's legs felt like they were about to give out. In that moment, she remembered the words she had exchanged with Jang Uk, switching to a mental replay to pump herself up. And it worked, giving her a surge of strength. She hobbled forward, and that extra push allowed Mu Deok to use every last ounce of energy to sprint and secure the 5th spot in a stunning finish. Park Do-jin was surprised that Jang Uk had so easily overcome the challenge. So, where's Jang Uk? He was told that Jang Uk was at the infirmary, visiting his slave. She took the exam and collapsed from exhaustion. It was then that Park Do-jin remembered that this woman was present in everything Jang Yuke had done. At the infirmary, the two sat and talked under the soft glow of the 10 Buddhas. Jang Yuke handed Mu Deok a Songgrim employment advertisement. "If you vowed that you'd wait for me, and that you'd do everything to come to me, then I want to tell you that I miss you." Mu Deok was internally screaming, "Help me, I'm done for, save me." The reality was that they were both falling deeper and deeper into this sea of love. Mu Deok realized that she, too, was succumbing to this love. And because of the promise she had made, she burned the paper and declared that all the longing, all the romantic feelings within Jang Yuke were poison that Mu Deok had deliberately instilled in him, and that only she held the antidote. Now, Jang Yuke no longer held the upper hand, because she, too, was holding the knife, ready to pierce his heart. Jang Yuke then feigned pain, saying, "Fine. Then from now on, I will constantly complain about the pain caused by your poison and will constantly beg for the antidote, which is you." Scene changed to Jang-gu. He was returning Mu Deok's belongings when he noticed a bird whistle and gave it back to Seo Yun. Seo Yun then met with Mu Deok, returned the whistle, and told her that she had lied to Jang-gu, saying she had given it to Mu Deok, so she should keep it. Mu Deok said, "If he asks why I'm keeping it." Seo Yun, with tears welling up in her eyes, cut her off. "It's because you admire me. But you didn't believe that before. Then make me believe it this time." At the same time, in the study, Jang-gu said that Mu Deok had really started liking Seo Yun. He even gave her a token. They were going out together. Truly, the wounded want to wound others. Jang Yuke tossed and turned, unable to sleep, haunted by these thoughts. Now, lying there, he remembered the affectionate gestures Mu Deok had given Seo Yun. He was basically in a one-sided crush, and one-sided love hurts, man. He poured his heart out only to get rejected badly. But it's life, what can you do? Meanwhile, Seo Yun hinted that if you like someone, you don't need to say much, just say, "I like you a lot." I wanted to confess that to the person who once held this whistle, but the opportunity is gone. Those words reminded Mu Deok of when she was 17, and the two of them sat on a tree branch, blowing the bird whistle together. Finally relieved of the burden in her heart, Seo Yun left. Leaving behind the gloomy lovebirds for a moment, let's turn to this unorthodox teacher-student pairing. The two, master and apprentice, were chatting as they ate. The physician didn't understand why Park Do-jin was stifling Jang Uk's potential for growth. Meanwhile, Sorcerer Lee recalled Park Do-jin confessing that Jang Gang had brought the Ice Stone back into the world to help the king have an heir through the resurrection spell, born on the exact day the king's star shone. Jin-mu knew all of this, and the Ice Stone might be in his possession. Moments later, the physician accidentally splashed some fish sauce on the nanny's handkerchief. Sorcerer Lee blew a fuse and ran off before things could get any worse. The physician now realized his teacher was experiencing a second spring. The next morning, Mu Deok noticed the young master hadn't gone to class, so she went to look for him. Turns out old man Jong, ancient as he is, was still asleep. Jang Yuke was still lying in bed, prompting Mu Deok to endlessly nag. Jang Yuke suddenly sat up, claiming he was still suffering from the poison and feeling unwell. Mu Deok then put on her most adorable, cutesy face. She knows she's pretty. Folks, seeing this, Jang Yuke just left. The guy turned down a golden opportunity to improve his skills and power just because he was sulking at Mu Deok. That toad even brought a blanket and slept in the middle of the classroom. Then, Mu Deok's snitchy side ratted him out to Park Do-jin's right-hand man. But the guy calmly said that if students want to advance quickly, they work hard. If not, they stay put. Just then, Jang Yuke came down and asked permission to visit home for a few days. Park Do-jin objected, but since Jang Yuke had won their bet, he was free to come and go as he pleased. Mu Deok, however, had to stay and meet her deadline if she didn't want to get the boot. Later, at Jin Manor, after hearing Jin Madam was meeting with someone from Chinbugwin, Park Do-jin secretly ordered his confidant to follow her. Park Do-jin came here to ask her to protect the late master's secret letter. It was also here that we learned why Mu Deok had such strong powers. On that night over 20 years ago, Jin Madam, already in her 13th month of pregnancy, still couldn't give birth. Believing the baby was stillborn, she desperately pleaded with Jang Gang to use the ice stone to bring the dead back to life. From that moment on, Mu Diak carried with her an extremely special destiny. Back in the present, as he left, the confidant reported that the person from Chenbugwan was Jin Mu. So, there was clearly some agreement between them that he didn't know about. In a secret chamber at Chenbugwan, Park Do-jin opened the lid of a jar so 5 blind girls could stand up, allowing him to compare their faces to Jin Madam's daughter as a child. So I accidentally glanced around, making Jin Mu freeze. He released 4 of the girls, but not the one from the jar. So I was worried because she didn't see her jar moving. Jin Mu suddenly smashed So-Ai's jar. He felt a great loss because So-Ai's interface was quite similar to the one in the painting, but he had to eliminate her. So I immediately pleaded, saying she was really blind. Then, he left her among the sharp shards of pottery. Jin Mu smiled. Not bad, can you truly see nothing? Then he used magic to lift dozens of shards and send them flying towards her. Despite being injured, so I didn't even blink. Even when a sharp shard stopped right next to her pupil, Jin Mu admitted he'd found the perfect person. He went around back, grabbed a sword, and chopped off So-Ai's hair, saying, "From now on, you will be called Mu Yon, the eldest daughter of the Jin family." While Mu Diak was busy sweeping the courtyard, the leaves kept falling. Turns out, the crown prince was causing trouble. He took credit for the fact that Mu Diak got a job here thanks to his guidance. Mu Diak was very grateful to the crown prince. He heard that Jang Uk had read the secret letter. Mu Diak said the young master was the fastest to solve it ever. The crown prince scoffed, saying it was just luck, and he wasn't nearly skilled enough to be selected into Songram. If Jang Uk can defeat any student here, he will acknowledge Jang Uk's skills. Unexpectedly, Mu Diak bet that Jang Uk could do even better. If she lost, she would lose something very precious, the egg she was holding. Jang Uk couldn't shake the memories he'd made with Mu Diak. The nanny entered, interrupting his reverie. And so, the two of them chatted happily. She was so proud of how quickly Jang Uk was progressing in such a short time. Indeed, he was definitely the legitimate son of Lord Jang Gang. With a mother's heart, the nanny said that whether Jang Uk was good or bad, he would always be her precious young master, and no matter how difficult things got, she hoped he would always achieve everything he desired. Hearing this, Jang Uk felt an enormous surge of motivation to make her even prouder. Upon returning to Songram, before he even understood what was happening, Jang Uk was taken to the training officer. This guy immediately announced that he would have a proper match with Jang Uk. To retreat was to lose. Before Jang Uk could even get his bearings, Mu Diak arrived, handing him a sword. The guy attacked immediately. And as the crown prince had predicted, Jang Uk's swordsmanship was poor, and he quickly lost the match. The guy was then awarded a golden toad. Only then did Jang Uk learn that Mu Diak had bet with the crown prince, and the precious item she had put up as collateral was the egg that Jang Uk had given her. The crown prince tasked Jang Uk with fighting a different person each day. If he won, he would also be rewarded with a golden toad. But if all the toads ran out and he still hadn't won a match, Mu Diak would lose the egg. That sly fox immediately told Jang Uk to try his best to win a match and get the egg back. Jang Uk pulled Mu Diak into the room and asked why she had used that as collateral. She said that only that item could motivate him to fight to the death to get it back. "Ah, so you're exploiting my weakness, still poisoning me. Therefore, if you get it back, I'll offer a smile as beautiful as a flower as an antidote, curing your love sickness." Jang Uk was speechless. Mu Diak said it was the thing she cherished most. Please get it back for her. Touched, Jang Uk immediately retorted, "Am I supposed to keep one and he keeps the other? What is this, a bromance?" At Chenbugwan, the crown prince inadvertently let Jin Mu see the egg. Jin Mu said that these things come in pairs, representing yin and yang, so surely there's another half. The crown prince then heard him say that only spouses or lovers would keep these things. "Ugh, just smash it." "Not yet, your highness. If Jang Uk wins, he'll get it back. And if he gets it back, they'll become a couple again." Illusions, the Shiba dog, were taking place at Jin's residence. Sorcerer Lee was seemingly reading a book, but actually longing for someone. It turned out he was waiting for the nanny. He confided that he had never known what cold was, but since receiving this scarf, he realized what warmth truly was. "Oh, teacher of the rose," taking advantage of the nanny looking away. Then when she turned back, he had already prepared a shy bouquet of wildflowers and presented them to her. Enjoying the flowers together outside, Park Do-jin came to find the nanny, thinking she was ill and came to visit. Unexpectedly, she was entertaining a young man. "Well, let's go see if this handsome boy is as good as me." He happened to run into the nanny. He saw that she was still healthy, so he said he came for nothing. The nanny thanked him for his kindness, but he came without any kindness. "Can't you see what I'm holding?" "Okay, I'll go pick some." The nanny snapped. "What I need is kindness, not just giving whatever I say." He liked the way Nanny subtly hinted, just like a new wife. "It's boring," she left. Park Do-jin tried to hold her back but failed. As Park Do-jin was about to leave, he noticed the sandals. He tried them on and saw they were smaller, so he assumed he must be shorter than him too. He kicked the sandals away and left. At the market, Jang-gu and Miss Jin were strolling around buying snacks and hair clips when they accidentally brushed hands. This emboldened Jang-gu to pour out his heart, confessing he loved her and would give up everything for her, even his position as leader of Songram. She was completely taken aback. But he immediately second-guessed himself, thinking he was getting ahead of himself, dreaming too big. He walked away, deep in thought. Moments later, realizing the one who loved her was leaving, Miss Jin chased after him and grabbed his hand. Jang-gu, still unsure, said, "If we hold hands now, I'll never let go." She shyly nodded. Overjoyed, Jang-gu tightly grasped her hand and pulled her along to buy flowers to propose. Nope, to propose to Park Do-jin. Taking a deep sniff of a bunch of white chrysanthemum, he said, "Head straight to the Jin Manor." "Wait, is someone in mourning over there or what?" Park Do-jin just flashed a bright smile. "My bad, take everything in the store except for the white chrysanthemums." The flower shop owner was thrilled. The eager grandpa and grandson duo swaggered in, ready to buy out the whole store, but immediately backed down when they saw their uncle. The uncle and nephew exchanged quick hellos. What a beautiful day for the lonely all-uncle. When Jang-gu was being called out for abandoning his duties as head of the merchant guild, he retorted that she'd be just as willing to give up her position as head of the Jin family. How can you get by with just one person to carry on the family legacy? Jang Uk then revealed that Miss Jin had mentioned that vice head Jin Mu was helping the Jin family find their eldest daughter. "Jin Mu? So that's what's going on?" Jang-gu immediately pivoted to ask, "Did you happen to misplace a child of your own?" Park Do-jin looked stunned, as if stabbed by a long-held secret pain, hands still untouched, lips perpetually dry from the absence of someone else's lips. A life of singledom leaves you vulnerable to rumors of having a child. Well, he has one all right, a frozen heart. Jin Ok visited the wet nurse in the flower-filled room gifted by Park Do-jin. When she found out that Jang Uk had chatted with her for a whole 4 hours, the wet nurse was ecstatic because she thought that the bird Jang Uk was hiding must be for Jin Ok. "Just think of this place as home, Miss Jin Ok. Come back and visit whenever you want." The girl was shy but really liked the gesture. That evening, Park Do-jin spoke to the Mage Lee and told him that Jin Mu was power-hungry and scheming to bring the Jin family under his control. If that happened, Jin Mu would no longer have any reason to show restraint toward Songram. The ice stone would soon be used openly. At the Misty Lake, the queen was using the stone to extract soul-searching incense. Jin Mu received another 10 stones containing dark magic from the eunuch. In a secret chamber, an old and young pair were being led to the place where Jin Mu awaited. A deal with the devil was about to take place. Can you guess what it is? You're right, Jin Mu would be swapping the old man's soul into the young man's body after he had written a will leaving all of his wealth to him. His soul-swapping ceremony was witnessed by many people, including I. Realizing he was the target, the young man tried to run, but it was too late. Jin Mu immediately performed the dark magic. When 2 clouds of black smoke crashed down, the 2 men fainted. The old man in the new body rejoiced with his desired result, and the young man in the old body tried to get his body back in vain. Jin Mu announced, "With the power of soul transference, anyone can have eternal life. Now, let us clap." Afterward, Jin Mu sent So-I to Jin Manor to ingratiate himself with Jin's wife. And what he will bring her here to do, I am sure you have guessed it already, right? The mysterious man walked out of the secret chamber. When pulling his mask down, we see that is Jin, the Great. Back at Songram, the Mage Li said, "Go, the Great who stopped the soul transference disaster, also bears the star of the Emperor." Park Do-jin didn't think Jang Uk could compare to him. Mage Li said, "I never said they were the same. But I wonder if Jang Uk will have a moment of glory and then shine or burn out." The exams dragged on, but Jang Uk got thoroughly whipped the moment morning arrived. Despite using water-based techniques, Jang Uk was easily outsmarted, and one by one, the 7 golden toads returned to their owner. The Crown Prince, who wasn't even sure he could beat a Songram sorcerer himself, had been betting golden toads over an egg. That's just how it is when you're a simp. It's rough. It was a losing proposition all around, taking losses for potential gains, financial loss, but with the hope of gaining affection, specifically a cold. Mu Deok kept urging Jang Uk to try, even with his last breath, to win just once for the sheer satisfaction of it. The 8th contestant, showing no restraint, blasted Jang Uk straight into the pond. The soul-shifted old man was being hunted relentlessly, but he managed to get back to the mansion. The soul shifter told Jin Mu to let his current body die with some dignity. A group of assassins stormed in to take the old man's life. When the soul shifter stepped in to stop them, they saw his signal, and the assassins immediately fled. The soul shifter sat face to face with his withered old body, saying he would make good use of it. The next morning, as Jang Uk took his usual tumble into the pond, Jang Gu tried to help, but Seo Yun told him to leave him be, not realizing that Jang Uk was improving every day. After Jang Uk left, Mu Deok ran off to grab a towel. She went to his room and found Jin Ok there with a new hairstyle. Meanwhile, she hadn't changed her own clothes in a week. These old-timers really were lazy about laundry. Mu Deok thought Jin Ok was the woman the nanny had mentioned was very pleasing, and had been invited to stay for snacks. But Mu Deok excused herself and left. Mu Deok thought Jin Ok was definitely a graceful and refined young lady. Looking at herself, Mu Deok felt a pang of self-pity. When she arrived at the training ground, Mu Deok found Jang Uk standing there alone. Seeing him standing pensively, she assumed Jang Uk was sad. Little did she know, Jang Uk had secretly learned the steal the liver trick from 4th Master Huji. Mu Deok was thrilled. She thought Jang Uk was just sulking, but he'd actually figured out a technique on his own. She told him he should focus on defense before attack, waiting for an opening to counterattack unexpectedly, like he had with the Crown Prince. Jang Uk nodded and said he needed to go shower because he stank. Remembering that Jin Ok was still in his room, Mu Deok pulled Jang Uk back, saying she'd go get him some clothes to change into. "Are you crazy? Why be so clingy?" "Yeah, why am I being so dumb?" After questioning herself, Mu Deok quietly walked away. Seeing Mu Deok's shoes were dirty, Jang Uk pulled her onto the steps and cleaned her shoes for her. Jang Uk told her to remember to change her shoes, and then left. Mu Deok thought about stopping him, but then changed her mind. Back in his room, Jang Uk saw a box of cookies. He assumed it was the nanny, but then he saw some peanut shells and realized it was probably Jin Ok. The Crown Prince left the doctor's office and dropped his egg. Annoyed, he used water-based energy to try to break it, but instead, it activated Trust but Verify mode. Jang Uk also saw his egg activate with a beep beep, thinking he'd found something good. And so, the two guys went looking for each other, following the beat of their hearts. The world is full of traps. Only men can bring happiness to each other. They met on the bridge and realized they were the ones who shared the same heartbeat. "It's you, let's lean on each other. Cue the music. I'm getting goosebumps. Why did you turn it on today?" "You think I wanted to? It's been making me nervous this whole time." "You too? It's been going thump thump thump." "Okay, stop it, don't say anymore." The stone activated again, and the music started playing, causing the Crown Prince to say, "Cut the music, I'm #1 heartthrob of Diho." At the library, Mu Deok was eavesdropping on the guy as he was flapping his gums, when Seo Yun came over and told her he was full of hot air. She said he was just bragging because he'd seen Jang Uk improving every day. Mu Diak was thrilled to hear that. Seo Yun asked, "You look happy?" Mu Diak replied, "Of course. It's great that my young master is improving." Just then, Jang Gu rushed in, looking worried, and said the head merchant of the Du Gang Trading Company had died of an illness. But there were rumors that it was an assassination. At Du Gang, the guy in charge wouldn't let Park Du-jin and the physician in to pay their respects, saying he was afraid rumors would spread about the head merchant being assassinated. Instead, he was saying he had died from a contagious disease, so visitation was prohibited, and they would cremate him immediately that night. Park Du-jin asked if they weren't even going to do an autopsy. The guy said that to keep things quiet as quickly as possible, this was the fastest way. But Park Du-jin strongly objected. Right then, Jin Mu and Lady Jin arrived. Jin Mu said Songram shouldn't meddle in other people's affairs. Park Du-jin countered that if the head merchant had been murdered by an assassin, and there were signs of dark arts, they had the right to investigate. The physician added, "They have full authority, correct, Lady Jin?" But to his surprise, she agreed with Jin Mu, saying the funeral matters should be handled by the Du Gang Trading Company's family. Park Du-jin was furious, but knew Jin Mu was too slippery. He had tried to butter up Lady Jin unsuccessfully, so he instead fabricated some story about her eldest daughter that reduced Lady Jin to tears and pushed her to insist Jin Mu find Mu Yon. Meanwhile, So Ai, who was in the secret chamber, witnessed everything. After that, she told Jin Mu that she was dressed like this so she wouldn't be able to get through any questioning, so she'll have to get Lady Jin to take pity on her. Jin Mu looked satisfied. So I said that she had to be the daughter of the Jin family. Back at Songram, Jang Uk, bored with reading, saw Lee and Park Du-jin arriving and hid. He overheard them saying that the late head of Du Gang had once been a powerful sorcerer. So who would be so heartless as to assassinate someone so ill and close to death? At the same time, Jin Mu mused that it was suspicious how that old man's background was what it was, and then suddenly he disappeared. He said, "Using Naksu's name to assassinate a former powerful sorcerer makes the most sense." And Naksu has only ever been a tool for Jin Mu to get rid of all the soul ejectors he created. Park Du-jin, after investigating, also knew that Naksu was only being used by Jin Mu to clean up the rogue soul ejectors. Lee asked if that girl was the daughter of someone from Chinbugwan, correct? Jin Mu silently admitted it was true, but he was hiding the fact that he had abandoned the little girl on the mountain. But to Jin Mu's surprise, Naksu, fueled by hatred, had grown up resiliently, harboring revenge in her heart. To avenge the past, she had devoted herself to following Jin Mu as an apprentice. But when he found out that Songram was hunting down Naksu with all their strength, fearing exposure, he pushed her to her death. But he had no idea that the assassin he once fought was now a servant being bossed around. He had a hot head, but his brain was full of ideas. Nearby, Jang Uk met Mu Diak at the stream. Jang Uk said, "I told you not to push yourself. Just make excuses and get out of work. That wound is still there." Mu Diak responded, "I went to the infirmary. Check if you don't believe me." Then Jang Uk reached out and hugged Mu Diak, asking, "Are you warm?" Mu Diak replied that she was, and thinking of her past. The poor girl was used and died bitterly. Now that he had heard everything, Jang Uk probably felt even more sorry for her. Jang Uk then bragged to Mu Diak that he'd discovered the egg was very special, but generally very fancy. As night fell, the Du Gang Merchant Guild's cremation ceremony was about to begin. Jin Mu had no idea Park Du-jin had turned the tables on him. He'd secretly sent Seo Yun, who had mastered the water arts, to infiltrate the family estate and infuse the corpse with a bit of water energy. Just enough to turn it into a petrified state. When the family servants checked after the pyre had burned down, they were horrified to find the deceased master had become a solid black rock. Seeing the other guy acting calm, Park Du-jin immediately exposed him as a soul shifter. Caught red-handed, the soul shifter attacked first, then tried to escape, but Seo Yun stopped him. Seo Yun landed a pretty serious blow with his sword, enough to start the petrification process. Jin Mu immediately ordered his entire lineage exterminated. Seo Yun intervened, and the soul shifter quickly fled. Seo Yun caught up to him outside the city walls. Jin Mu's henchmen swarmed, distracting Seo Yun just long enough for Jin Mu's bodyguard to eliminate the threat. Seo Yun checked, and the guy's pulse was gone. Jin Mu, looking pleased, said that petrified individuals are dangerous and must be eliminated immediately. Luckily, Songrim was there to help, so the credit goes to you. Seeing Seo Yun shake his head, Park Do-jin said that Songrim would take the body back then. Jin Mu agreed. At the medical institute, the young man's body was receiving water energy from the master healer, trying to maintain his faint life. Park Do-jin wanted to revive him, but the old healer said it would be difficult. But Jin Mu was wary. He ordered preparations to be made, saying that if necessary, they should have a soul shifter infiltrate Songrim's ranks to deal with the situation. At the library, Seo Yun saw Mu Deok sneaking peeks at books and was reminded of when he stopped the soul shifter. Images of her flashed in his mind, showing her face with crazed cracks, causing Seo Yun pain and concern. Outside, he met Jang Yuke and told him he just fought the new head of the Du Gang Merchant Guild, who was also a soul shifter. Seo Yun added that when those people run out of water energy, they turn to stone and will steal life force from others. Doing so would turn them into monsters. Just then, Mu Deok walked up, and they both knew they feared that would happen to her. But protecting humanity from soul shifters is the job of a sorcerer. But Jang Yuke said that if everyone just kept watch, society would remain peaceful. So between two handsome guys, one bad boy and one good boy, there were two completely different perspectives on how to protect the one they loved. Because when they're in love, they always want the best for their loved one. Even with unrequited love, boys will always be sincere and choose love. In the royal chambers, an old eunuch dared to talk back to the queen. He said she was Choi clan shaman who had possessed the princess's body. He claimed to be the only one in the palace who knew the queen's true soul still existed alongside the other soul in her body. So he demanded that Jin Mu perform a soul shift and put him in a body as beautiful as a screen idol, or he'd spill all the royal secrets online and the internet would be filled with drama. After ranting, he left, smug. The next morning, Jang Yuke was surprised that his next opponent was Jang Gu. Jang Gu said he'd intentionally lose so Jang Yuke could win back the egg. Jang Yuke promptly withdrew, much to Mu Deok's annoyance. She followed him, asking why he didn't fight. Jang Yuke gave up, assuming she was signaling him to retreat. Is this the expression I make to mean yes? I'm telling you I make this one. Now you only have one chance left, so what should I do? Why are you blaming me for suddenly betting it? And now you're backing out. Okay, let's not be friends anymore. Mu Deok was speechless at his childishness. Seeing the mages taking turns guarding the medical institute, Jang Yuke figured something must have happened for them to be on such high alert. Jin Mu showed up and demanded to see the body, but the aide said he had to report to General Park Do-jin first. Outside the entrance to the medical institute, he ran into Nanny. She said she was visiting Jang Yuke and wanted to drop by and see how the Prime Minister was doing. He told her the medical institute was on lockdown, and no one was allowed in or out freely. Then please pass along that I came to visit Park Do-jin. Park Do-jin was adamant that no one was allowed inside. The aide said he would report it back to Jang Uk's nanny. Hearing that, Park Do-jin immediately stopped him, saying she wasn't just anyone, but rather a peculiar case. K-1EB90 came out and saw Nanny chatting with Jin Mu. Afterward, the three of them sat in Park Do-jin's office to talk. Jin Mu said that back in the day, when he saw Nanny bringing pastries to innkeeper Jang Gang, he used to sneak a few, and that stolen food always tasted better. Jin Mu reached for one, but Park Do-jin pulled it away, saying, "Honey attracts flies. Once you get a taste, you become shameless. You can't even distinguish what you're allowed to eat from what you're not." Nanny immediately offered one to Jin Mu, saying Jang Yuke probably liked them too. Why not have him join us and hear stories about his beloved father? Jin Mu reached again, but Park Do-jin covered the lid, saying Jang Yuke was busy training, so he should be on his way. Nanny said, "It's just a few pastries, why be so strict?" Jin Mu was snubbed. His face might not be pretty, but at least he had his shoes on, so he couldn't really back down. Nanny felt that they shouldn't make enemies over a few snacks, but Park Do-jin said he didn't want her efforts to end up in the mouth of someone like him. Later, Nanny met Mu Deok and asked her to take the pastry box to Chunbugwan as a gift for Jin Mu. Mu Deok agreed. At the training grounds, Park Do-jin summoned all mages who had reached the liquid stage and told them to all go to the medical hall and follow the instructions from his aide. They all scurried off, except for Jang Yuke. He gave him permission not to interfere in anything there and to do whatever he wanted. Jang Yuke agreed with a look of annoyance. After hearing that, he walked outside and happened to meet Mu Diak. Knowing she was going to Chinbugwan, he followed her. Inside the secret chamber, old Jin Mu questioned the eunuch. The eunuch reiterated that the queen was a shaman who practiced witchcraft. "Why?" replied that he wasn't wrong. "Today, I also have to hear such trivial gossip. It's not wrong, but extremely annoying." Outside the gate, Mu Diak remembered coming here to play with her father when she was young. After giving the pastries to the gatekeeper, Jang Yuke gave him so many instructions that he became confused. So, when he said he was going to visit, the gatekeeper accidentally agreed. Jang Yuke thanked him, and they both went inside. Jang Yuke led her to Chinjungwan, knowing that Mu Diak used to come here with her father, so he intentionally let her go back to this place. At the same time, Jin Mu acted against the damned eunuch in the secret chamber. The eunuch desperately shoved Jin Mu and fled, leaving a trail of water wherever he went. As they were both exiting, they saw someone entering and hid. They observed the crazed eunuch rushing inside. Jin Mu followed the trail of water to this point, saying, "Come out, I won't harm you, I'll just kill you." Suddenly, Jang Yuke revealed himself. Surprised, "Old man, isn't that unexpected?" He mentioned that his wet nurse had sent him with a box of honey cakes for Jin Mu in this freezing winter. Fearing exposure, Jin Mu hurriedly dismissed Jang Yuke. But Jang Yuke brought Mu Diak out as well, thanking him for not punishing her. "You've eaten them all? Tell me if you want more." "Alright, I will let you know if that's the case." As they left, Mu Diak unfortunately stepped right into the eunuch's puddle of water without reacting. Jin Mu immediately suspected that they knew something and blocked all the exits. Jang Yuke asked, "What are you doing?" Jin Mu replied, "This isn't a place you can come and go as you please." Mu Diak tossed her sword to Jang Yuke, but he couldn't fight against Jin Mu. Jin Mu drew a barrier, pushed Jang Yuke into it, and trapped him in an infinite illusion world. He saw himself standing atop a tall stone pillar, with a bottomless deep sea below. Jin Mu said, "Just stay put and you'll be safe." Then, he loudly announced, "Guards, come forth and drain this girl's life force, and I will restore the soul to young Master Jang's body." The eunuch said, "Didn't you listen to the shaman and try to have me killed? Fine, I'll step aside and let you enjoy your dinner." The eunuch immediately pursued Mu Diak. She struggled to resist, but was too weak to escape him, and he began to drain her spiritual energy. Jang Yuke yelled to Mu Diak to hold on for a little longer. While the eunuch was gradually recovering from his madness, Jang Yuke took a leap. The moment his foot touched the surface of the water, he broke free from the infinite illusion world. Jang Yuke hurriedly ran to find Mu Diak, but he was horrified by what he saw. The one who was hurt wants to hurt others. The eunuch became Mu Diak's dinner. A powerful surge of energy swirled around her, and then Mu Diak gently finished off the ugly and evil eunuch. She was shocked to realize that she had become someone who drains the life force of others. "Jang Yuke, am I going to go crazy?" "It's okay, master." Mu Diak forbade Jang Yuke from approaching her, warning that he could die if he got too close. Jang Yuke ignored her warning and embraced the girl who had endured so much suffering. Feeling the need to protect her, to be a support for that poor girl, Jang Yuke would rather die so that Mu Diak could be warmed by him than freeze to death in the blood-cold hands of the villain. Mu Diak's hand touched the water, creating thousands of stars forming a sparkling background with radiant halos of light. A massive storm arose in the sky, dark clouds gathering, accompanied by deafening thunder and lightning. This reminded Jin Mu of 20 years prior, when the ice stone unleashed its power, creating a similar tempest. And because the stone was born of the earth and sky, it could be dissolved by rainwater. Jin Mu himself acknowledged that young Mu Yon had tried to destroy it, summoning the furious storm, proving she possessed an immense amount of mana. At the observatory, Jang Yuke rejoiced that Mu Diak wasn't going berserk. They looked up at the sky, which was completely covered by dark clouds. Mu Diak mentioned the observatory ceiling was always closed. Only a Chisu-level sorcerer could open it. The fact that it was open tonight meant she must have done it. Jang Yuke saw something and quickly pulled her out of the way just before a lightning strike damaged the observatory. Mu Diok temporarily lost her sight again. Jang Yuke immediately grabbed a piece of cloth and blindfolded her. But now, how would they escape? Jang Yuke pulled out the egg and said they'd be relying on their savior. The person was none other than the Crown Prince. Seeing the Tinder notification pop up, the Crown Prince didn't understand what Jang Yuke was up to. Jin Mu, entering to assess the situation, found the eunuch petrified. He ordered his subordinates to hide the body while he went to find Jang Yuke. Knowing there was nowhere for him to hide besides this place, he called out, "Jang Yuke, come out and surrender." Jang Yuke had no choice but to step out. Simultaneously, in Songram, Park Do-jin and the physician saw the storm and deduced it was centered directly above Chinbugwan. Something was definitely happening. At Jang Luk's location, he said, Jin Mu won't have much time because the Crown Prince is about to arrive. Really? The Crown Prince was holding an egg made of yin-yang jade, and the eggs could connect with each other. This reminded Jin Mu of the stone the Crown Prince once held. Jin Mu attempted to draw his sword and eliminate Jang Yuke to seize the stone, but Jang Yuke cleverly claimed to have hidden it inside the eunuch's body. This wasn't good. Just then, the Crown Prince arrived at the gates of Chinbugwan. Jin Mu rushed out to check. He searched the eunuch's body but found nothing, realizing he'd been completely outsmarted by Jang Yuke. When he returned, he was infuriated to discover the Crown Prince inside. The Crown Prince accused Jin Mu of harboring soul shifters and plotting to kill both of them to silence them. Jin Mu then put on a theatrical performance, looking at Mu Diok. He remembered Mu Yon. He remembered rushing to steal the ice stone and pushing the young girl into the lake. Mu Diok could see normally again. At the Jin estate, through their conversation, Sorcerer Li learned more about the relationship between Jang Gang and Naksu's father. After her father's death, Jang Gang had relentlessly searched for the young girl but was unsuccessful. Therefore, the nanny assumed Naksu was dead. Sorcerer Li said if Jang Gang had found her sooner, the girl wouldn't have suffered so much and the burden would have been lessened. The nanny asked about the burden. What was wrong with destroying soul shifters? Sorcerer Li said many things can't be understood just by looking with one's eyes. Then this physician, "Is that girl still alive?" Sorcerer Li softly replied, "She's dead." The nanny said she would hold a small ceremony to pray for the poor girl's soul. At Chinbugwan, seeing Jang Yuke and Mu Diok so attentive to each other infuriated the Crown Prince. If they get their hands on that egg again, they'll only become closer. Outside, Park Do-jin had just arrived. Once everyone was present, Jang Yuke explained that he brought snacks for Jin Mu because the royal nanny was afraid he'd hold a grudge against Park Do-jin. The Crown Prince couldn't fathom why these two powerful figures were squabbling over food. Jang Yuke continued, saying that out of curiosity, he went to Chinjungwan and saw something he shouldn't have. Park Do-jin asked, "Are you sure you saw a soul shifter?" Jang Yuke confirmed it, saying Jin Mu trapped him in the illusion realm and even used the soul shifter to try and devour Mu Diok. Jin Mu vehemently denied it, accusing Jang Yuke of fabricating the story out of fear after breaking the star-gazing platform. Park Do-jin stated, "Then let the people of Songram investigate." But Jin Mu refused to have Chinbugwan turned upside down based on such wild claims. The Crown Prince inquired, "Jang Yuke, are you absolutely certain?" Jang Yuke revealed that the soul shifter was the eunuch serving the queen. The Crown Prince ordered that the eunuch be brought from the palace. Jin Mu protested, "That won't be necessary, Your Highness." Then, the queen appeared, asking, "Which soul shifter?" The Crown Prince clarified that it was the eunuch attending to her. She breathed a sigh of relief and ordered him to be summoned. Jang Yuke and Mu Diok were completely stunned by the eunuch's appearance. It turned out the queen had used the ice stone to revive him. Jang Yuke had finally seen what he needed to confirm. "We really were seeing things, Mu Diok." Park Do-jin scolded Jang Yuke harshly, then turned to apologize to the queen and Jin Mu. He offered to rebuild the star-gazing platform for Chinbugwan, but Jin Mu declined, insisting that Park Do-jin should be allowed to rectify his mistake himself. The Crown Prince agreed that it was only right. At the star-gazing platform, after assessing the damage, Park Do-jin announced that he would take Jang Uk back to Songram for discipline. However, Jin Moo wanted Chunbugwan to handle him. The Crown Prince concurred. Moo Deok immediately rushed forward, wailing and begging the Crown Prince not to let Jang Uk be taken back to Songram, surprising everyone. She acted like a madwoman, saying that he was nearly killed last time, and if he went back again, he'd surely die. Jang Uk chimed in pitifully. "I've failed you, your highness, and I'm ashamed to ask for anything. If I go back, the chief will certainly kill me." Park Do-jin couldn't believe what he was hearing. Jang Uk then looped his arm around Park Do-jin and said, "Officer, take me away." Moo Deok pretended to cry and pushed them both out of there quickly. Park Do-jin sputtered out a few insincere words and quickly left, looking visibly awkward. Jin Moo and the Crown Prince were left alone. The Crown Prince criticized Jin Moo for causing unnecessary trouble over snacks, and then questioned how the stone table was struck by lightning when only a level 4 spellcaster could open the ceiling. Jin Moo was equally puzzled. The Crown Prince then noticed the sword Jin Moo was carrying. Outside the gate, Park Do-jin praised Moo Deok for her quick thinking. He admitted he was quite passive and unsure how to handle the situation. But this incident revealed who truly possessed the ice stone. In a secret chamber, the old eunuch couldn't remember why his energy was drained and didn't recall any other spellcasters being present at the time. Jin Moo reasoned that Jang Uk couldn't have reached level 4 so quickly. The queen retorted, hadn't he reached level 2 in a short amount of time? The old eunuch blurted out that thanks to the ice stone, he even reached level 3. It was infuriating. The queen immediately retrieved the ice stone, causing the old eunuch to freeze completely. She then stated that they needed to be careful now that Songram was watching them. They suspected Jang Uk's rapid progress was due to having a powerful master. Therefore, they needed to find the person who initiated Jang Uk's transformation. Jang Uk asked quietly, "What happens if the ice stone is found?" Park Do-jin said that neither the soul shifter nor the stone could be allowed to exist anymore. He told Jang Uk to go home and lay low, agreeing to let Moo Deok come along, and warned him to avoid Jin Moo. Jang Uk obeyed. As Park Do-jin left, Jang Uk vowed to find the stone before it fell into the commander-in-chief's hands. At Songram, Park Do-jin ordered Jang Gu and Seo Yun to oversee the repair of the star-gazing platform and instructed his men to monitor Jin Moo's movements. As she left, Seo Yun inquired about Moo Deok. Park Do-jin's aide reassured her that everything was fine. "I heard Jang Uk saw a soul shifter." "That's right." But he was calm even when he saw a soul shifter revived by the stone. He probably already knew, and he kept asking the commander-in-chief about that stone. The commander-in-chief said that both the soul shifters and the stone had to be destroyed. Seo Yun further asked what Jang Uk was like at that time. Because of his stubborn nature, it's obvious that Jang Uk would think the opposite. On the stone bridge, Jang Uk suggested going to Danhyungok to train, but Moo Deok said that it snows heavily there this time of year, and they could get trapped. She also hoped they could avoid being alone with each other for too long because she was worried she would eat Jang Uk. In a situation where that happened, Moo Deok accepted that she would rather die than drain all of the life energy from him. Jang Uk was touched by this. On the outside, she may be cold and quick to tease, but deep down, she must have been pleased with what Jang Uk had confessed. "Then I'll find the stone so that you don't have to drain my energy. If I have to face Park Do-jin, then I have to get stronger." Inside the royal palace, the crown prince wondered why Jang Uk, the intruder, wasn't carrying a sword. And Jin Moo said that if you're not doing anything, then you carry a sword. His analysis is just like Sherlock Holmes. Returning home, Jang Uk encountered Master Lee. Knowing Jang Uk had been suspended from school, he immediately invited him to go fishing at the Great Lake Jongchendiho. But Jang Uk said he was busy training. Losing another match would mean losing his keepsake egg. He said he'd gift Master Lee some top-notch fishing rods so he could go fishing. As Jang Uk ran off, Master Lee feigned regret, saying it would be lonely fishing for golden carp alone. Moo Deok said that species was hard to catch, requiring the water master level. That's right, the feeling when you catch one is beyond words. Jang Uk went inside. Moo Deok said, "Take a break from training tomorrow, go get your kicks with Master Lee." Jang Uk was taken aback, not understanding what she meant. The three of them went to the lake. Jang Uk wondered, who fishes here? Where would the fish even come from? Master Li cast his line and said that golden carp didn't eat bait, but instead ate water energy. Jang Uk muttered sarcastically, now there are even fish that eat kai. I've never seen anyone fish like this in my life. No sooner had Jang Uk spoken than a fish bit. Master Li reeled in a gleaming golden fish, but then it dissolved. Master Li said that golden carp were just masses of energy formed from water energy. Jang Uk still didn't understand when Mu Diak explained that Master Li wasn't teaching him how to fish, but helping him level up to Water Master. Jang Uk then took a stance, cast his hook far, and channeled his kai. Master Li said, take it easy, bro, slow and steady wins the race. Meanwhile, at Jin family estate, Park Do-jin visited Lady Jin, hoping she would lend him the evil energy of the estate to track down the soul shifter. This was because the soul shifter had appeared again at Chinbugwan last night. She said Jin Mu had told her it was a fabricated story. To fool me, Park Do-jin bluntly exposed her for trying to cover for Jin Mu because he promised to find her daughter. Lady Jin said that had nothing to do with it. Then why are you increasingly opposing Songram? Do you think this family has to listen to Songram's every command? She then asked him to leave because she had business. Master Jin watched from afar, looking quite pleased. At Chinbugwan, inside a secret chamber, so I was branded with a fake cinnabar mark. Lady Jin's husband even said that Mu Yon had a long scar on her right arm. So I had to grit her teeth and endure to make the plan perfect. Returning to Jin family estate, we see the cinnabar mark and the scar appear on Mu Diak. The nanny asked Jang Uk about something that hasn't been finished in the past few days. Mu Diak said she would bring food to the young master, but the nanny said someone else was taking care of it. She would stay and prepare ancestral rites with the nanny. A servant entered and gave the nanny a petition for prayers for the deceased. When she heard the name of her father, Cho Young, and her real name, Cho Young, Mu Diak realized that the nanny was about to hold a memorial service for her. Back at the lake, in the middle of nowhere, Jang Uk was still fishing diligently. While fishing, he saw the rod shake. He happily reeled it in, but it turned out to be just a regular fish. Master Li, you fell for it, trying to catch an easy meal, huh? Afterwards, the two ate. Jang Uk confronted him. You like the nanny, don't you? Because you always praise her at every opportunity, and even pick dried flowers. Flowers that grow all over Denhyangak, to give her, right? You can't deny it. To stop the kid from rambling, he turned the question back. What about you and that servant girl? Jang Uk unabashedly said it was true. He liked her. Mentioning this mortal affair reminded Master Li of what Seo Yun had told him. He finally understood how much Naksu had suffered. So he intentionally let Mu Diak leave early because the nanny would hold a memorial service for her that day. At Chinbugwan, under Park Do-jin's orders, Jang Gu and Seo Yun endlessly tinkered with the Starlight Stone Basin, never quite finishing it. Jin Mu even remarked that it was costing Songram both time and money. Jang Gu scoffed. What? You think we're short on money? We have more than enough. Jin Mu glanced at Seo Yun and commented, I heard Seo Yun is Songram's first trait water level mage. Behind the door and within the secret chamber, so I gazed adoringly at Seo Yun. One of Jin Mu's lackeys quipped, beauty has its limits, so don't get your hopes up. Another added, true, not for someone like So I, but maybe for Mu Yon, it would be possible. Meanwhile, having finally seen her father receive a proper memorial service after all these years, Mu Diak thanked the royal nurse for her kindness. Alone, Mu Diak wept until she was nearly dry of tears. Seo Yun, standing behind her, witnessed everything. He internally berated himself, thinking if he hadn't abandoned his childhood friend years ago, Naksu wouldn't have ended up in this living hell, neither alive nor dead. As the incense burned out, the royal nurse burned the memorial paper for her father's salvation. Watching the embers flutter away, Mu Diak was haunted by the image of her father collapsing in a pool of his own blood. Jang Uk finally returned. Seo Yun greeted him and announced he would soon be returning to the capital. His father had said he could return home once he reached trait water level. The old master physician must have already sent word, so he would likely be summoned soon. But if I go back, as Seo Yun said, I'll be taking someone with me. Zhang Yuke felt a pang, remembering seeing Xiao Yun standing and gazing at Mu Diak with a pensive expression when he first arrived. It was clear who Xiao Yun intended to take with him. He had probably figured out the real identity that Zhang Yuke was trying so hard to conceal from Mu Diak. When Mu Diak entered, Zhang Yuke confidently said that he wouldn't lose the match tomorrow because he had caught the golden carp. Mu Diak was taken aback. What Zhang Yuke didn't expect was that the next morning, the Crown Prince announced that the prize was no longer the golden toad, but Mu Diak herself. Zhang Yuke's final opponent would be none other than Xiao Yun. Zhang Yuke never imagined that Xiao Yun would resort to this to achieve his goal. A monumental twist had forced two close brothers to confront each other. While Zhang Yuke was trying to catch a golden carp, Park Do-jin asked Master Li if he was trying to guide Zhang Yuke. But he said it was someone else. Then who is it? No one. The Crown Prince confidently affirmed to Jin Mu that he could find out any information through Mu Diak. Just looking at the present, I lost 9 golden toads betting that Zhang Yuke would win. At Songram, Xiao Yun realized that the monster Zhang Yuke swore to protect was Naxu. He was going to use the ice stone to help her. So, at all costs, she had to stop them from getting too involved, because it would be hard to break them apart later. Outside the city, Park Do-jin was afraid that if things continued this way, Zhang Yuke would become increasingly difficult to control, and when he learned her true identity, the consequences would be unpredictable. Then the master asked Park Do-jin, "How long do you have to go without bubble tea to be crowned miss?" To achieve water control," Park Do-jin replied, 10 years. Master Li held water in his palm and said, "It takes us a long time to control the water element, but some people are born with an innate sense for it." Zhang Yuke finally caught the golden carp. Master Li said, "Those with natural talent are often seen as arrogant, reckless, and dangerous in the eyes of the public. Therefore, there will be those who are envious, and some who are worried and insecure. Society despises the ignorant, but tries to destroy the intelligent. Master Li, I don't know what kind of person Zhang Yuke will become, but if he goes astray, I will officially step in to eliminate him." Back at Songram, the group of sorcerers, led by this guy, said that Zhang Yuke should be careful because he would be his final opponent. Zhang Yuke said, "3 lies, he has no game." At this point, the Crown Prince realized that he was just a tool for Mu Diak to train the young master. Faced with Mu Diak's stubbornness, the Crown Prince angrily threw the egg. But Mu Diak remained calm. "If you can throw away something precious without flinching, then I will replace the golden toad with myself." Although surprised, Mu Diak accepted because once Zhang Yuke achieves water control, there's nothing to fear from those punks. How vicious. The Crown Prince immediately summoned the Toad Guy. He introduced himself as Bomb Dad, Dad of all dads, Bomb of all bombs. The Crown Prince didn't care and ordered him to win this match, or he would be stripped of his position and barred from being a sorcerer forever. The guy hesitated. He wasn't sure about himself. But if it was Xiao Yun, the chances of winning were 100%. The Crown Prince immediately met Xiao Yun, telling him that since Xiao Yun was also a member of the royal family, he should fight Zhang Yuke for his cousin. Xiao Yun immediately agreed, surprising the Crown Prince. He said that he would try to win this match, knowing that Mu Diak had bet herself. Because they say dying for a girl is a death that sends chills down your spine. Cut to Xiao Yun facing Zhang Yuke directly. They charged at each other. Everyone was surprised at how quickly Zhang Yuke had progressed. Zhang Yuke used a water shield to block Xiao Yun's strike, knocking him far away. Zhang Yuke started gathering energy, lower danshin, flexing his butt cheeks, clenching his glutes. Xiao Yun also decided to unleash his ultimate move. But unexpectedly, this time Zhang Yuke used water bullet technique with devastating power. If he hadn't reacted quickly, Xiao Yun might have been defeated. However, Xiao Yun soon sealed the deal on Zhang Yuke with Song Double Strike, causing Zhang Yuke to drop his sword and lose the match. Chen Bugwin celebrated triumphantly, while his friends were stunned to learn that Zhang Yuke had achieved water control. Zhang Gu was overjoyed. "Congratulations, my friend, on your rapid progress." Zhang Yuke looked for Mu Diak, but Zhang Gu said she went to meet the Crown Prince. Xiao Yun offered to go find her, while Zhang Yuke followed Zhang Gu to the infirmary to get treated. At the apothecary, the old physician didn't believe Jang Gu's story. Jang Uk didn't say much, always letting his actions prove things, which totally impressed the old guy, slapping Jang Uk on the back hard. He's a freaking genius. Seo Yun met with Mu Deok privately and said that even though he was pretending to see her as the owner, he still wanted her to promise to help him with something when Seo Yun went home. Mu Deok didn't hesitate and agreed, promising to help. When Park Do-jin heard that Jang Uk had achieved water control, he was super skeptical, so he went to confront him face to face to make sure. He worried Jang Uk was saying this because of a private matter, so that the sorcerer Lee was enthusiastic about it. "What matter?" Park Do-jin asked. Jang Uk said with a serious face, "It's a family matter." This made the old man think he knew the truth. But no, it was just the complicated feelings of people past their prime. Park Do-jin blankly listened intently. Jang Uk said that Sorcerer Lee had been around all week. Even if he wanted to help his uncle, it would be hard, because he's so good to him. Jang Uk just wants the nanny to settle down with a gentle husband. Park Do-jin was dejected. He immediately went to Jang Uk's house. It turned out the shoes he compared earlier belonged to Sorcerer Lee. Inside, he saw the nanny was upset because the flower had withered, so Sorcerer Lee charmed her by making it bloom again. "I love how this man Lee acts, not just talks." Park Do-jin shrank back and went home, not daring to stand up and reclaim the woman he loved. When someone gives you the green light, you're all picky and reluctant. Then when someone else makes a move, you awkwardly crawl back. Like all those fa guys watching. Guys, take note, or you'll be left with nothing. But he didn't know that no matter how nice anyone was to her, the nanny's heart was still filled with Jang Gang. Jang Uk felt better and immediately went to find Mu Deok because she didn't bother to visit him while he was sick for hours. Little did he know his crush was over there with Seo Yun, playing the flute. They were so into it that the two dudes standing below were invisible. Jang Uk didn't understand why Mu Deok was so indifferent even though something was missing. Still standing there checking out the pretty boy. Sighing because that's how it is. That night, Mu Deok stood in front of the pond with a torch where the egg was thrown. She had to find it, or she wouldn't dare face Jang Uk. Inside the royal palace, the emperor's health was failing because he was so worried about soul shifting. Visiting the royal palace, he feared there might already be soul shifters inside. The crown prince said that Jin Mu had already tightened security. Wasn't the last guy one of his henchmen? In this life, you can't trust anyone, not even your own family. I don't even trust myself anymore. There might be soul shifters in here too. Jin Ok said that if that was the case, he could invite Sorcerer Lee because he could help the king find soul shifters. Should he do that? At Jin's mansion, Jin Cho-yeon was sad to see her mother was so extreme when it came to the case of her older sister. Her father showed up to comfort her. Then, at the pavilion, he gave his daughter a box of precious fruit from the western regions. "Whoa, so expensive. Let me pin that on you." He cunningly took out a needle and pricked her neck with it. "Oh, does it hurt a lot?" "Yeah, it hurts like hell." His face was wicked. Then, from Jin Cho-yeon's neck, a huge, long worm appeared, hanging down. "Beautiful, isn't it, daughter?" "Of course, it is. Those fa guys will be drooling." Jin's daughter gave a wry smile. His face was hateful, and the worm kept wiggling. While cleaning Park Do-jin's room, Mu Deok found the bow he used to injure her. If she regained her strength, she wanted a proper rematch with him. Park Do-jin walked in and told her not to touch things randomly. Mu Deok, never one to back down from a challenge, retorted. "It's because you left it lying around. I forgot to hang it up this morning. You're still young but seem a bit forgetful already. I hope you stay healthy so your descendants can benefit." Park Do-jin wasn't angry. He even complimented Mu Deok on her audacity. He ordered his trusted aide to inquire about Mu Deok's background and report back to him. The madam said she didn't really know Mu Deok's true identity. But the person who sold her into service here is in the city. In a secret chamber at Chinbugwan, Jin Mu said, "So I was about to be assigned to the Jin family estate. Therefore, all potential threats must be eliminated, and the two madams whose goods So I had pilfered would be the first to log out of the Earth server and log back into another." A shaman was raving, bending down and sucking all the moisture away, to So I's utter horror. Jin Mu said this was the consequence if she tried to outsmart this difficult old fox, and asked, "Is there anyone else who knows about you?" "There's this uncle. He was eating when some thugs came looking for So-I, but he claimed he didn't know anything. He even warned the thugs that she was bad news and to stay away." At Songgrim, the crown prince was making his attendants search the pond since afternoon, but he couldn't find the egg, only a belt. Mu Diok appeared, saying, "Looking for this? Don't even think about snatching it back. Thanks to you throwing it, I managed to retrieve it. Thank you very much." "Well, if I threw it further away, you wouldn't have found it even with your eyes." Mu Diok guessed that the prince was feeling 10%, probably 9/10 of the way to being apologetic, so he was looking for it. "Who said you could be so accurate? And so loud, the whole world will hear. Oops," this lowly servant apologizes. Cha Bom and her friends arrived to report that the sorcerer Li had arrived and invited him to meet him. The prince immediately left. They surrounded Mu Diok and verbally abused her to satisfy their selfish, petty desires. Mu Diok muttered curses at the incompetent, foul-mouthed women in skirts. The prince suddenly turned back and ordered them to line up and listen to her scolding. Getting scolded felt so satisfying. "Don't even think about saying a word, or you'll face the club, you punks." The crown prince told Mu Diok to take out the pouch and added, "Anyone who lays a hand on her will have to deal with me." Mu Diok took the pouch, held it up in front of her, and scurried back inside, overjoyed. "I told you, being pretty is an advantage." The prince seemed quite lenient, not holding their behavior against them, but merely trying to please Mu Diok. "Well, if you keep acting like this, the ladies watching will claim you as their husband again." By a poetic, romantic rocky stream, Jin Ok was strolling with Jang Uk. They were exchanging polite greetings. She said the nanny had invited them to dinner and hoped Jang Uk would also attend. He readily agreed, making Jin Ok very excited. She said she would arrange it and have Mu Diok inform Jang Uk. "You know my servant?" Jin Ok said she had seen her in his room before, reminding Jang Uk of the time Mu Diok clung to him. Now he finally understood her feelings. Then a horsefly buzzed around, frightening Jin Ok. Mu Diok arrived and saw them seemingly dancing with fans, grinning from ear to ear. Seeing Jang Uk, Mu Diok hid the egg and went to greet them. Jin Ok greeted Mu Diok, bid farewell to Jang Uk, and walked away. After she left, Mu Diok showed her resentment and was afraid that her master would get angry. Jang Uk immediately hugged her to make up. But it didn't seem to work. "If it doesn't work, then kiss me. It's a valuable kiss." Maybe a little bit loss-making, caught off guard, Mu Diok could only stare in silence. "Do whatever you want, I like it so much." Jang Uk said, "If the master makes a mistake and is angry, he will be punished like this. Yes, the apprentice is very good, Mu Diok. Today, I have to escort the sorcerer Li to the palace, so I'll meet the queen, so be careful." "I know, I'll tell you when I get back." Jang Uk was about to leave when Mu Diok showed the egg and said, "I found it, but it was by accident." Then she shyly scurried away. At the Jising house, the uncle ran into the madam and learned that Mu Diok had been recruited into Songgrim. There, Jang Uk, Jang Gu, and Seo Yun were summoned to escort the sorcerer Li to the palace. It's expected there'll be intriguing surprises that unfold there. So, the sorcerer Li instructed the physician to make sure the belongings are sent and on time. The apprentice messed up the timing and got a severe scolding from the physician right in front of the kids. Ugh, what an ego crusher. Jang Uk seemed quite nervous. As they were leaving, Park Do-jin, the aide, had just brought the uncle inside. Mu Diok was sweeping the courtyard when the short-haired madam told her that Park Do-jin was looking for her. Upon arriving, Park Do-jin sternly stated that he knew the truth about her eyes. Mu Diok froze, her face filled with worry. The uncle immediately interjected, saying that Mu Diok was faking her blindness to escape the Jising house. "That's right, that's why I met the young master and was bought out." Mu Diok knelt and apologized. The uncle tried to defend her further, but Park Do-jin remained suspicious. Outside, Mu Diok asked why he had spoken up for her. The uncle replied that he had to fulfill his responsibility now that he had taken the money. Whose money? Jang Uk's, who else's? Turns out, the old toad had anticipated this situation and given the madam money in advance to handle things if anyone came looking for Mu Diok. Jang Uk's foresight is something else. Truly a grand design that women love. Inside the palace, while the Sorcerer Li greeted His Majesty, Jang Uk glanced at the queen and recalled what the eunuch had said, the shaman Choi is possessing her. When Mu Diok came out, the madam ran after her, telling her to be careful because a girl named So I had come looking for her, but her behavior seemed shady. Mu Diok had never even seen So I, so she didn't know what to make of that. Park Do-jin sat alone, remembering Mu Diok's distraught expression, and his suspicions grew. At the same time, Mu Diok went to find the uncle at the inn. Entering the room, she found him murdered, and someone was peeking into the room. In the palace, the king greatly admired the Sorcerer Li's youthful appearance. He said, "Indeed, this body is only about 40 years old, while the original body was already burned to ashes." The king asked, "Did you switch bodies?" "That's right, I am an alchemist of souls." Everyone was stunned by what they had just heard. The Sorcerer Li said that because of this, he could find other soul shifters and would help His Majesty with this matter. This is a big deal. So, the Sorcerer Li knows that Mu Diok is a soul shifter. Back at the inn, Mu Diok hadn't even had time to figure out what was happening when someone held a sword to her neck from behind. It was Park Do-jin. He said, "So, it was you who murdered the uncle."